Hey, grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. It's going to be our Saturday live stream. We coming up here. What are we going to talk about, Jason? What are we doing today? Thank you so much for asking. We are going to be talking about, we're going to be jumping in and looking at Josh Hammer's interview on Joe Pags yesterday. And it was really good. So if you hadn't seen it, don't worry about it. We're going to watch it together. And we're going to make sure that color is the right color. Shout out to that. But I want to say thank you so much to everybody who's already jumped into the best live chat on the internet, the most electrifying comment section out here on these YouTube streets. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tapping in. Shout out to the moderators, keeping everything moving in the right direction. I appreciate y'all so much. What do we got up in here, Jason? I thank you. Thank you for asking that. We got, Nana Sue. Now she's doxing the medical director and the surgeons' names and trying to tie them to Israel. Y'all pray for Candace. Pray for her, for real. Wow. This is such a wild story, man. But thanks so much for that. Crime, Crochet, and Coffee. That's a cool name. Is it just me and me weird ways, or do other women get their Sunday clothes out and ready on Saturday night and set their hair before bed? My husband makes fun of me for it. Sound like you trying to make sure y'all get to church on time to me. Do you do that during the week too? I mean, I don't see anything with that. I think that's probably pretty good use of time. If you're hanging out, just chilling on Saturday, pull the clothes out. You're washing clothes, going to leave the clothes out, lay them out. That makes sense to me. Now, ask me, do I do that? And we know we don't. And I tend to not have to curl my hair. So there's that problem as well. Shout out for sure. All right, what do we got? A lot of good conversation going on in the chat already. Oh, yeah, let me know what number you are, by the way. Brett is 6. Shout out to him. But guess what? Phoenix is 7. I appreciate you. I don't know how I was 9. What's going on with that? What's up with me? Oh, Ben, me and you are both 9. And you know what? We got to fight. I don't know. I have no clue, man. Sometimes YouTube be doing whatever it be doing. I don't know if that number is 100% correct sometimes, truth be told. But shout out to everybody who's jumped into the most electrifying. We got Tina up in here. She's 11 for sure. Aaron's in here. Appreciate it. Jubilee. And I got Tracy as well. Juju B. Please forgive me, not Jubilee. Juju B. All right. Thank you so much. We have a cool video. Now, I'm going to do the Josh Hammer interview. I got a new sound effect for Josh Hammer. So let me test it out real quick. I got a sound effect for Josh because Josh, I kind of like Josh, man. He's starting to grow on me. So whenever Josh says something true. Stop. Hammer time. All right. Every time he does that, we're going to drop something profound. We're going to give some hammer time for sure. All right, let's get at this because we got a long night ahead of us. Let's get at it. Oh, by the way, thank y'all so much for everybody who's praying for your boy. I went and picked up President Firstborn from the airport yesterday. Everything went perfectly fine. She got here perfectly safe. And now she went up to the University of Georgia to go hang out with some of her girlfriends. I think she just arrived home. I hear my wife talking all loud to somebody. Oh, no, she's still down the street. She's close, though. She's close. But anyway, thank y'all so much. So she made it home safely. Everything, she seemed like she has a good school year. So we've been talking. We went and talked this morning, went out and drove around, went and got coffee and talked. And she's doing well. So I'm really proud of her. Shout out to my big girl. And chief executive second born is at homecoming tonight. So she's at the homecoming picture taking and the dance. And they're going to do a little after party and all that kind of good jazz. So everything's well over here at Whitaker Park. I appreciate y'all. Let's get over here. Let's talk about Joe Pags and Josh Hammer.
You know your friend was going to be shot on the 10th?
No, I mean, Joe, I started crying.
But you see, she's alleging that. She's alleging it. I mean, she's literally saying he must have known something. Look what he posted. What do you say to that? What was the impetus to have the group chat? What was he hoping to get out of talking to you and Andrew and the others that were on it? And when he said that he was just about done with the Israel narrative, what did that mean? Did you know her? Were you friends with her? Did you work together when she was at TPUSA? Do you have a relationship before all this happened? Do you really believe it's because you're Jewish? Is that really what it is?
That is 1,000% the answer, Joe, is because Candace Owens and her followers can't stand the fact that Charlie Kirk was a man of his word.
This is Unshaken and Unafraid with Joe Pags.
All right, so I'm hoping, and I have to admit, I haven't watched all this. So I'm hoping he really gets into what is the beef that Candace has with Josh Hammer. So, I mean, she says some things that make it sound very personal. It's not just, oh, I don't like, I just don't like you, or I think you're a terrible person. She says some things that are extremely personal, some things that are extremely vindictive, if you will. And I'm wondering, like, what is her beef with Josh Hammer? I don't know much about Josh. Maybe he's a terrible person. Maybe he does terrible things. I don't know. Maybe he wears Nikes. I don't know. But what is Candace's problem with Josh Hammer? Because it just seems, again, it seems super personal. But let's go.
This guy has been thrust into the spotlight by somebody who might have used to been a friend or somebody that I'm sure, knew at some point. And I didn't get it because I know Josh Hammer. I've had him on the show a couple of times. I'm getting to know him better all the time. And he just doesn't come off as somebody that I would call filth or subhuman. It is Josh Hammer. Josh, I'm glad that you joined me today. What's going on, man?
Joe, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that the world is seeing, and it's been pretty crazy, but it's always great to stop by and chat with you about it.
As we now just recognize 1 month since Charlie Kirk was publicly executed, it's been a month that I thought that we would see TPUSA become the revolution that he wanted it to be, from a movement to a revolution. I thought that people would rally around him, rally around the group, rally around Erica and friends of his like you, like Andrew, like Mikey. But instead, we're seeing a division where people are getting millions of clicks. And I'm talking specifically about Candace Owens. She has said some things about Charlie, about the organization, and about you specifically that are just downright sick. I just want to take it from this. I'm going to ask you very specific questions in a minute, but just give me the overview of when you found out that you were the target of her attacks and what went through your mind immediately.
Right. So, Joe, Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and people like that have been calling my name out with increased frequency. And I mean, part of that just comes with the territory, right? I mean, the anti-Semitic mind virus is so crazy right now. It is so crazy in American political discourse more generally that if you are like myself, if you wear a kippah, if you are an observant Jew, a publicly identifiable Jew, if you write and talk about Jewish issues, I mean, Joe, in previous conversations, we've talked about legal stuff, the courts. I talk about all the issues. I mean, I know a thing or two about the law. I know a thing or two about immigration, economic policy, whatever. I do all the issues. But among the things I talk about are Jewish issues. I wrote a whole book on it. Israel and Civilization was a book that came out in March.
Right.
So to an extent, when you have
he mentioned his book. Oh no. You can't shout out your own book, Josh. Don't you know they're going to get you for that, man? They're going to get you for that, man. That's what's going to happen. Don't do that. You can't do that, man.
Stop. Have a time.
You can't do it, man. We had to stop you on that one.
You accept that there are going to be people dragging your name through the mud. And Joel, I have a sneaking suspicion that you will relate to what I'm going to say. I think very often to this amazing scene in The Godfather Part 2, my favorite film of all time.
Right.
Where you have Hyman Roth, the character played by Lee Strasberg, there with Michael Corleone, Al Pacino, and Hyman Roth says to Michael Corleone, he says, "This is the business that we have chosen." As if to say, there are consequences. So, look. I used to work at a corporate law firm. I used to do contract law. When I left all that to enter the public sphere, I knew what I was signing up for. I knew that when you put your ideas out there, you're going to get pushback. What I did not necessarily expect is to be accused of, in not so subtle fashion, of being complicit in some way or another of my own friend's assassination. That is something that I definitely did not expect. And this is all going down, Joe, this past Monday. So this past Monday was the beginning of a 7-day holiday in the Jewish calendar known as Sukkot. Many Christians know it as the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles. Right. And, Orthodox Jews like me, we go literally dark for Jewish holidays, like no phone, no computer, no phone, no light switch, no nothing. Yeah. So all this was breaking this past Monday evening at around 6 p.m. East Coast time, give or take, literally 15, 20 minutes before I dropped everything to go to synagogue that evening. And that was when I saw that Candace Owens had acquired this screenshot from this WhatsApp chat that I was in with Charlie Kirk and a handful of others. And it was already starting to get in my Twitter mentions, some nasty stuff. And then I think it was a day or two after that, at some point over the holiday when I was offline, someone at synagogue said to me, Candace is saying some really crazy stuff about you. So then I turned my phone back on this Wednesday evening, and it's a veritable poop storm, I guess, for lack of a better description.
No, it is. It's Josh Hammer.
I still want to know, okay, And I see some people, some great comments in the chat about why I just out of the blue, I've had people troll me and they say some pretty nasty stuff about your boy. However, I know where it started. I know what it is. I know where it came from. Okay. Like what he has to know what it is, where it came from. Maybe they did have a run in. Maybe he did tell her she was wrong about something or whatever that nature. But I would love to know why it is, because he doesn't seem to even be bothered by it, even the way the person said it. Like, Candace is talking bad about you. Why are you not surprised? Like, what is the reason why you're not like, okay, whatever. Today's Tuesday. Candace is talking about me. Like, why are you okay with that? I would love to know why.
The host of the Josh Hammer Show. Go and check it out everywhere you get your podcasts. Also, article3project.org. So let's get into some of the specifics that we know from what she's been saying. Before I do that, let me just in a very general sense set the scene. Did you know her? Were you friends with her? Did you work together when she was at TPUSA? Do you have a relationship before all this happened?
I do not. I actually have never met Candace Owens in person, to my knowledge, which is actually which is kind of surprising because we've been in a lot of similar circles over the years. She's a former Daily Wire employee. I'm a former Daily Wire employee. We've run in a lot of similar circles, but I don't believe I've actually ever met Candace Owens. Now, I will say, Joe, when Candace Owens started going down the path that she's been on for some years now, so this all happened around September, October 2022, 3 years ago, when she started defending Kanye West, when Kanye West was doing his Hitler Apologia, his Hitler Apology tour. I was actually one of the relatively few people that said right off the bat, this is insane, that she should be fired from the Daily Wire ASAP. Right. So I've had Candace's number, if I don't say so myself, for a little longer than I think even a lot of other people have had there, but we've actually never met in person, really have no relationship at all to speak of.
Well, what's interesting is she can't hold a job. She lost a job with PragerU, with TPUSA, with the Daily Wire, as you said. Now she's getting millions and millions of views by doing an online soap opera where she's holding on to a morsel that she'll drop tomorrow, but her safety is up in the air. So let's get into some of the specifics about when you started to get involved. We've all now seen that screenshot from the WhatsApp group chat. Andrew Colvett actually admitted that he screenshot it. I don't know why you do that, but he screenshot it, and she somehow got a hold of it.
That's another question that I've been wondering as well. I understand. I appreciate Andrew Colvett taking ownership and said, yeah, I'm the one that screenshotted it. Why did you screenshot it? And again, if you screenshotted it and gave it to the authorities, the police, why are you not upset that the police or the authorities have shared it with Candace Owens? That part right there, I don't like, and I know there's some conspiracies out there that want to drag Andrew Colvett. I'm like, he didn't do himself any favors with that one. I appreciate him being honest and saying, yeah, that's my screenshot. My dude, why in the world were you screenshotting that? Like, what's going on? That one, I don't know why that one, nobody's pressing Andrew about that.
But who knows how? In that screenshot, Charlie is talking about exactly what he talked about with PBD, exactly what he has said publicly. You know, he loves the Jewish people. He loves the Holy Land. He's got some questions about how the war is being prosecuted. He was being mindful of what was going on there. He also talked about the messaging, but in that group chat specifically, he talked about losing $2 million from a big Jewish donor. Andrew has already made reference to that, so I knew that part of it was real. Then he says something about, I'm thinking about inviting Candace. Candace Owens made that statement from Charlie Kirk, I want her back, and conveniently 2 days later, he took a bullet to the throat before they could be reunited on stage. That was a leap way too far for my journalistic mind, way too far for anybody who's got common sense and logic. What was the impetus to have the group chat? What was he hoping to get out of talking to you and Andrew and the others that were on it? And when he said that he was just about done with the Israel narrative, what did that mean?
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start here. So Charlie Kirk started this WhatsApp chat. This WhatsApp chat was not started by me, was not started by Andrew Colvett. I have known Andrew for many years now. He's a friend. It was started by literally no one other than Charlie Kirk himself. And Charlie started this chat. He named this chat Saving Civilization because he cares about Western civilization. Yes. And because Charlie Kirk correctly understood Western civilization to be largely synonymous with the ecumenical biblical inheritance of the original people of the book, the Jews, and the great Gentile offshoot, Christendom, who really built Western civilization off of that biblical foundation. This is the whole reason that Charlie Kirk and I became friends in the first place, Joe, is that I, as an observant Jew, and he as an observant Christian, we were like-minded on this need for this ecumenical biblical alliance to preserve and save Western civilization against all the forces. So it's Charlie literally for.
Okay, this might not be the most popular opinion. This might not be the most popular, and I'll take it. Just work with me, people. Please work with me. I do believe that American society, Western society, needs to be saved. I agree with that. I am not of the mindset that everything, like here in the United States, I'm an American. So here in the US, I don't believe that everything that can fix American society has to deal with Judaism or the Jewish people or Israel. There's a lot of stuff that ain't got nothing to do with them. It really doesn't. And so I don't know if I agree with if that's Charlie's approach, like, hey, we got to fix American society, so we got to fix Israel. I'm not 100% certain I rock with that. There's just a lot of other things that are problematic here in U.S. that are directly impacted by people here in the U.S. It doesn't need to be. Now, there are things that, commingle and mix, but the vast majority of things are U.S. problems on U.S. soil with U.S. people and U.S. interests. I don't think that it needed to always be. And I understand, again, if he's going to college campuses and that's all they're talking about, then that's where he's stuck with. You got to deal with what the people are giving you. But like, for example, Charlie Kirk had some very direct things to say about Black culture and Black families. That ain't got nothing to do with Judaism. Nothing. It has nothing. It really directly has a problem with Christianity. Christianity speaks directly to that problem. Or starting the nuclear family. That's everybody. No, we don't have to make that a Jew issue or an Israel issue. That's a nuclear family, a husband and a wife marry and have little people. We don't need that to be a Jewish issue. So I do think that part of the problem, in my opinion, in my observation, is that you're making too many things about Judaism. To defeat Islam, you need Christianity in wholesale. I mean, that's reality. I mean, to defeat the influx of Islam, look at Dearborn, Michigan. They are finished. Dearborn, Michigan, apart from the Lord God doing a mighty work in that area, Dearborn, Michigan has been lost. Okay, it's just real. But I'm sorry, like the gospel is the only solution to that problem. So we don't need, and if that's what Charlie was always doing, always making it about Israel. Now, again, you can have a part of it. Not saying you can never talk about it. And if that's all the people are talking about, then therein is the issue, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know if I agree with Josh on that. I don't know why I forgot his name for a second. I don't know if I agree with Josh 100% on that, but let's go.
From this chat for the purpose of just trading ideas and trading exchanges for how to better improve messaging,
Yes.
better ways to communicate to a skeptical younger millennial and Gen Z audience for things like Charlie Kirk's campus talks, things like that there. So the chat was very active, and through that chat and our private exchanges, I was in pretty much daily communication with Charlie for the final year and a half, give or take, of his life. I'd known him for much longer, but we became much closer in the final year and a half or so. So fast forward all the way until this screenshot that now everyone has seen due to Candace Owens.
Right.
So the screenshot, which is from the day before Charlie's assassination, does show that he is upset and blowing off steam because a very wealthy donor, I'm not sure if that donor's name is a matter of public record, so I'd rather just not say it. I know who it is, but I won't say it.
Fine.
So Charlie was upset that this donor pulled his donation. Now, Joe, two things can be true at once. This donor, who was a Jewish donor, he was very pro-Israel among other causes that he cares about. The donor has every right to say, I'm not going to donate unless X, Y, Z. That's just the nature of...
Yes.
That's literally just how it works in the
Right.
donor-donee space. So two things can be true. The donor has every right to do that. And then the CEO or the chairman, like Charlie Kirk, has every right to be upset about losing a donation. I mean, both of these
Yes.
things are totally fair on both sides of that. So Charlie was blowing off steam. He was very upset in the moment there. The notion that he was ever going to consider bringing back Candace Owens to a Turning Point conference is palpably insane. I know that for a million different reasons. Among them is because Charlie and we actually disagreed ourselves about Tucker Carlson. I think that Tucker Carlson is just a slightly softer version at this point of Candace Owens. Charlie genuinely did not agree with that. He thinks that Tucker Carlson might have some quirks or whatever there, but he didn't see. And specifically, what Charlie would say is he would say that Tucker is no Candace. Okay, he would phrase it basically like that at times in the group chat. So if he's no Candace, he's implying that Candace is like really out there, that she's just totally not acceptable at this point, for civilized exchange, polite society.
Josh, I want to stop you for a second because those who are watching and listening need to understand the context. The Jewish donor pulled the money because he had Tucker Carlson speak at a TPUSA event, and Charlie said, "Okay, I'm going to have him speak. It's my organization," and he spoke. I think I was at that event in Dallas where I was interviewing a bunch of people outside. So that was what it was about, and I almost get the feeling, and I want you to correct me. You knew Charlie way better than I did. I had him on 6 times, and I knew Charlie. We texted back and forth, but I wasn't great friends with him. It appears to me that he was like, "Oh, yeah, you don't like Tucker? I'm thinking about inviting Candace," as you said, blowing off steam, something he probably wasn't really going to do. But he certainly didn't say, "I want her back, reunited with me on stage," and somebody killed him to stop that from happening, which is what I think she's alleging. So do I have it right that he still stuck to his guns, and he had Tucker Carlson on, and he lost the money, he was frustrated, so he throws out Candace's name going, "Oh yeah, well I'll bring her in if I have to"?
That's all correct, and there's more to the story than that.
Go ahead.
So the timestamps at the screenshot that Candace Owens unveiled to the world show that those messages happened around 3:45 to 4 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, September 9th, the day before Charlie was tragically assassinated. Literally 2 hours after that, from 6 to 7 p.m., Charlie organized a Zoom call that I was on. The Zoom call was myself, a mutual friend of ours, a rabbi named Pesach Walicki, a couple of Charlie's producers, a sixth individual whose name I'm blanking on, and Charlie. Okay. And the express purpose of the Zoom call, which Charlie Kirk organized himself, the entire purpose was to bring him up to speed on the latest facts and the best ways to message on the issues of Israel and Jewish-Christian relations, the Jewish people, because he was about to start his campus tour the next day. The event where he was tragically killed at Utah Valley University was supposed to be the first of a lengthy, weeks-long, months-long tour. So he wanted to make sure, before he went into the Lion's Den, that he had all the facts right, the narratives right there. Joe, someone who is about to turn on Israel and become a Candace or a Tucker or whatever on that topic, on the question of the Jews in general, is not going to seek my advice to shore him up the night before. Absolutely. And sure enough, this past week, I did something that I didn't want to do, which is actually share a screenshot from that chat. I felt compelled to do so because my name has been so utterly smeared and dragged in the mud by Candace and other ghouls. But I shared the final messages that Charlie ever sent to that WhatsApp chat. The final messages were him saying, "Thank you guys so much for that Zoom call." Again, someone who's about to turn on Israel, about to invite Candace Owens, is not going to thank me and Rabbi Pesach Walicki, literally a rabbi in Jerusalem, for helping shore him up on the talking points when it comes to this particular issue. It makes no sense in the world whatsoever. Charlie Kirk was a friend of the Jewish people. He was a friend of Israel. He was a friend of me, Joe. He was a friend of me on a very personal level. And the reason above all, and I'll stop after this, the reason above all that I know that Charlie Kirk was not going to pull a Candace Owens or whatever on this issue is because this wasn't a policy issue for Charlie. This wasn't kind of a debate about the top marginal tax rate or the child tax credit. Charlie was a sincere Christian, and his form of Christianity was very much the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament-centric form of Christianity. That was the Christianity of George Washington or John Adams or Alexander Hamilton. Charlie Kirk literally turned his phone off when Orthodox Jews like me turn our phone off from Friday night to Saturday nights. He has a forthcoming book that hopefully, God willing, will still be published posthumously about observing the Sabbath. It's called Stop in the Name of God. He was passionate about Old Testament Hebrew Bible. He used to study the Torah with Dennis Prager, for goodness sake there. And I guess I'll just end with another quote from the great Dennis Prager. Dennis has this line that he's very fond of saying, where he likes to say that you judge a person, especially a public-facing person like you, me, Charlie, you judge us not for what we think and say in private, but what we think and say and do in public. Right. And whenever Charlie thought about blowing off steam in a private group chat setting, that was very, very different than what he said and did in public, all of which was fulsomely, full throttle, pro-Jewish, pro-Israel, etc.
Josh Hammer, go and check out the Josh Hammer Show. Article 3 Project also. You can go to, where do you get the book? The book is called Israel is Civilization. I'll have it in front of you. What's the name of the book?
Yeah, Israel and Civilization. It's available at Amazon, Barnes Noble, or anywhere you get your books.
Okay, go and get it. Now, let's talk about the relationship as you knew.
All right, I'm going to jump in real quick. Again, I hope I'm trying to read the comments right here. I don't want you to think that I don't want, and I don't realize that there's a great relationship between America and Israel. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Israel and America don't work together in unison to fight against the influx of Islamization of the world. I'm not saying that at all. We do work together in that. What I am saying, however, is that's not the only things on the planet. There's not the only things in the issue, because the only way America is going to be able to properly, in my opinion, deal with the influx of Islamization is a strong Christian foundation in the household, in the family. And I know Charlie talked a lot about family, and I just don't he might have talked about Israel, yeah, but he also talked about a lot of other things that are equally as important, dare I say more important, because they're the only way we get to the other parts. Because how do we fight Islam and we don't have good families? We don't have strong families. When we have husbands leaving their wives and wives leaving their husbands and kids being munched up in the mother's womb, like how do we do that apart from a strong family unit? We need that. That's the first institution that God created, was the family. And so I don't want it to get lost. I feel like it might have got a little lost in the comments, and I could be wrong. I just want to make sure now, and this is the thing. Yes, Candace made it about Israel. I agree. We don't need to follow along with her lunacy. That's the problem. I think people are answering her lunacy, and they're forgetting that they're missing the bigger issue. They're missing the larger point by following after this crazy train. She's just leading people into the abyss. I don't think we need to do that. That's my little 2 cents, but let me know what y'all think in the comments for sure. Let's keep this going. Shout out to Josh Hammer and Joe Pags.
Between Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk up till his death, were they still friends like that? They weren't friends like they were in the day when she was touring with him, obviously. That's clear because she was out, and she had been out for some time. Were they still communicating as far as you know? Were they texting all the time? Because I noticed that she's not releasing any text between her and Charlie where he's saying, hey, I want you back. So what do you know about that relationship before he passed?
Yeah, so I don't have direct knowledge. I never directly asked Charlie, are you and Candace still talking? Now, Charlie was an immensely loyal person. Among his extremely admirable character traits, he was a genuinely loyal person who would not turn on someone quickly. And when he liked you, he would go above and beyond to help you. I know that because, again, I found that out personally numerous times.
Right.
And I say that in the context of Candace Owens because as crazy as Candace Owens became, they were partners. They were tag teaming for Turning Point USA on cameras and whatnot for a good amount of time. And I think Charlie saw Candace as something of a sad case, frankly, as someone who had a lot of talent and just genuinely lost it. I mean, for whatever reason, we can try to suss out whatever that reason is, but the girl just genuinely lost it. I mean, she became basically a lunatic mental patient from someone who once upon a time was saying a lot of very sober.
I agree with that 1,000%. I do believe that the people who rocked with Candace saw Candace further along than Candace probably saw herself, or that she was able to grow up to that level. I do believe Dennis Prager saw her somewhere higher than she was able to grow to. Same thing with the Daily Wire. Same thing with TP USA. I don't think that she's ever been able to grow up to what people's expectations of her are. And the pressure has caused her to lose her bearing. That's what I think is happening. And I don't think she ever really was able to. I think she just, because she spoke so confidently, because she came across really dialed in, people were like, oh, wow, well, then I expect you to be here. And lo and behold, she never grew there because she never really was there in the first place. That's what I think. I mean, Josh is right there where I've been kind of noodling about why is she like this? And I think that's what happened, but let's keep going.
Insane things about law and order, Black Lives Matter, crime, economics, whatever, all the issues, right? So, Charlie was not going to go above and beyond to kind of stick the knife in and twist it. My understanding, and I've only heard this secondhand, because again, I didn't ask him directly to his face because there was just no reason for me to do so. I do not think that he and Candace Owens were in anything remotely close to active communication. I mean, it's possible they said like a happy birthday text or something like that there. They were not discussing, they were not having high profile, high level communications about like strategizing for the right or how to maintain the MAGA coalition. Again, it's possible I'm wrong. I open the world to that possibility. That's possible wrong. I really don't think I am, though.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, she's releasing everything that she can. She would have.
Here we go. And Joe is about to say it as well. I believe Josh Hammer just literally threw out the gauntlet of challenge. He doesn't make it. It's a subtle challenge. It's a subtle challenge. I don't think Candace was in communication with Charlie Kirk like that. They might have sent birthday texts, but that's it. Candace has got to be seething if she has evidence contrary to that. Do not be surprised if one of the first things she does when she comes back, or even on Twitter, is her reacting to that comment that he made about y'all ain't been in communication. Now he does couch it by saying, I don't know this, but I don't think they've been in communication. If Candace comes out and defends herself, Josh got her. If she doesn't, Josh got her, because he just told y'all she wasn't in communication with him, and she's going to have to prove that. And Joe Pags, I'm going to back up just a little smidgen. Joe Pags is going to add to it, and I think this was masterful.
I open the world to that possibility. That's possible wrong. I really don't think I am, though.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, she's releasing everything that she can. She would have released any sort of, Candace, we love it. Candace, we need you back. Candace, we're not the same without you. She would have released all of that immediately. It's Josh Hammer. So let's talk about the letter that she claimed that Charlie wrote to Bibi Netanyahu, where Charlie said, I'm abandoning the Israel narrative and I can't do this anymore. And you're performing a genocide in Gaza. And then Bibi releases it, and it's nothing like that. You're losing the messaging war with the young people in America, and you're going to lose them if we don't change how you're doing it. So clearly what she said about that letter was untrue. Did you know that he sent that letter to Netanyahu, and did you know what the contents were going in?
Yes and yes. So Charlie sent this letter, Joe, back in May, early May.
Did I characterize it the right way? What he actually did versus what she said he did?
Yeah, so look, I mean, I'll explain the letter. So Charlie sent this letter to Prime Minister Netanyahu back in early May. I was made aware of it, I don't remember the exact time, honestly, but late May, early June, something like that, a few weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
And I read it right away. The letter is 7 or 8 pages. He worked really hard on that letter. He worked really hard on that letter with one or two of his producers for his show. Every sentence was edited and crafted, and he worked really hard on that letter for the simple reason that he actually really cared. Yeah. The letter literally begins, Joe. This letter begins. The very first sentence is, I'm paraphrasing, it's a very close paraphrase. As a Christian, one of my greatest joys in life is making alliances with Jewish people and standing or defending the state of Israel. That is the first sentence of this letter. So anyone off the bat who says that this letter was his way of divorcing from Israel and the Jews or separating from the Jews.
Wasn't even close.
I mean, it's literally in the first sentence. Yeah. Now, having established that, the letter does have a lot of tough love when it comes to Israel's, I think, objective problems when it comes to their image, their messaging, their PR. Yeah. And Charlie, by the way, had some really good ideas in this letter. There were some really good ideas that, without giving away too many details, I was in all sorts of private discussions about how to try to operationalize some of these ideas. Discussions with Charlie Kirk and others, because he wrote this letter in the first place there. Now, this letter was private. It was not a matter of public record until the day after Charlie's death, when I was watching Fox News and I noticed that the prime minister was on and referred to this letter and started reading it on air. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's the first time that I've actually that I saw it made public. So I've talked about it since then. But yeah, I was aware of the letter, Joe, for oh gosh, I don't know, at least 3 months prior to Charlie's tragic assassination. It was a letter that came from a place of genuine friendship with the Israeli people, with the Jewish people there, and from a place of trying to make Charlie's job. Charlie saw himself correctly as the kind of the conservative spokesman of younger millennials, Gen Z. And he didn't like the fact that Israel was so woefully incompetent at trying to defend themselves, especially for that demographic, that the weight seemingly of the world fell on Charlie Kirk's shoulders. So it was kind of coming from a place of like, I love you, but you got to help me back. That's kind of where it's coming from.
Well, I'm with you. And the way that she characterized it was proven wrong immediately when he released the letter. So she just blew it off. She didn't say, hey, I got the letter wrong. Then she talks about a meeting in the Hamptons at Bill Ackman's house. It didn't happen at his house. And that Bill Ackman and Charlie Kirk were back and forth on text where Ackman was basically leveraging him and trying to force him to do this, that, and the other. So Ackman releases all the text messages. She got that wrong. They were in the New York Post. She's gotten every single thing wrong.
All right, shout out real quick. I want to jump in because I want to, just in case, we've had so many people jump into this discussion since it started. You might not have read the infamous Bibi Netanyahu letter that Charlie Kirk wrote. I dropped the link in the chat right now. It's on my Substack. I'd love for you to go check it out. It's the full letter. No edits or anything like that. The letter is right there in my Substack. You're welcome to check it out. And maybe I'll put it in the Daily Candace as well so we can follow along so you can keep up with that. Maybe that's it. Maybe we'll start keeping some of the evidence that's in there as well. Maybe I'll do that, sure. But I want to make sure you have access to that. And I also want to say thank you to everybody who's already dropped a super, man. Thank y'all so much. I do appreciate it. First of all, shout out to Lashaya Morrison. Shout out to a brand new member, y'all. We got a new member up in the building for sure. Thank you so much and welcome to the party. And MT came in real quick. He said, why? He's Jewish plus close to Charlie. Jealousy. You know what? I get jealousy vibes. I get that. I can get that for sure. And what we're talking about is why Candace Owens has such a hankering against Josh Hammer. He seems like a pretty decent dude. I don't know much more about him than that, but he seems to come across pretty well. But Candace seems to have an issue with him, a personal issue. And I think he might be on the money, MT. MT also said this. Thank you so much for the $5 super. Charlie's view on Israel blocks jihadi caliphate, shields Mid-East non-Muslims, and shares intel. Frontline of Judeo-Christian West, not America's fixer. I got you. And it just seems like from what we're hearing, and this is really just at the fault of the Candaspiracy and the Candy's cult, all you hear about is if all Charlie spoke about was Israel and not other things that are equally, dare I say, more important right here in the face of, again, strong families, strong nuclear families. We need that. We need that here in the United States like nobody's business. We need to be raising our children in the fear and admonition of the Lord. That's something we need like right now. So you almost think that that's all he talked about, the way that they couch it. And that's what I don't like, because I don't know if that presents a full orbed view on what Charlie spoke about. And let me give you my last example and I'll get out of here. I'll explain why. When a lot of people hear about TPUSA going to historically black colleges and universities, they immediately think that and I know this, I can show you a video about it. They immediately think that all TPUSA is concerned about is Israel. And they don't know that TPUSA, Blexic, and others conservatives are really concerned about the same things that the majority of us are concerned about, because all they hear about is what? Israel. They don't hear about Charlie Kirk spoke passionately about the family, whether it be black, white, yellow, green. The family needs to be strong. So that's why I say I really wish that we could get a better understanding. I'd keep challenging people. If you don't like Charlie Kirk, show me a video that you watched of Charlie Kirk, a full video. We'll watch it together if I have to. I'll watch it with you. And then we can see if we can come to the same understanding that Charlie Kirk was a low down, dirty, rotten, whatever. Or maybe you didn't really understand who Charlie Kirk was. Whatever. All right, let's go. Thank y'all so much to everybody who's jumped into the most electrifying live chat on the planet. Thank you.
And then it seems as though she wanted to go and get you. Let me get Josh Hammer. Now, Josh Hammer released something the day before about public executions.
Oh, gosh.
Therefore, he was foreshadowing the execution he knew was going to happen the next day. When you get wind of that, Josh, well, first of all, did you know your friend was going to be shot on the 10th?
No, I mean, Joe, I started crying.
But you see, she's alleging that. She's alleging it. I mean, she's literally saying he must have known something. Look what he posted. What do you say to that?
I mean, there aren't words in the English language to describe how sick and twisted this is, Joe. I mean, when I was recording my episode of my show, the Josh Hammer Show, that week, that was literally the first time I broke down crying while recording a show. I'm able to control my emotions. I couldn't help myself. I was just so utterly sad. I mean, this was a life-altering event. I mean, this is the highest profile political assassination in America since Martin Luther King Jr. and RFK in 1968, and it happened to a personal friend, like someone who I spoke with the night before. I mean, I could barely leave my bed. I was so distraught there. It was just a horrible few days there of just constant grieving. So, I mean, for someone to allege that I had foreknowledge, let alone complicity, it's evil. It is palpably insane. It is demonic. I mean, it is the stuff, frankly, of an unearthly realm. And once upon a time, Joe, this country had very sound involuntary commitment laws. We tended to liberalize those laws in the 1960s. That's the whole Jack Nicholson, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Once upon a time, what Candace Owens is alleging me of doing, and probably others too, that would have landed you potentially in the crazy ward, in the mental ward there, because it is just so beyond out of this world insane. It is quite possibly defamatory. I'm very much speaking with lawyers. I think that there is certainly a non-frivolous case of a legitimate defamation lawsuit. We'll talk to the lawyers. We'll sort that out there. It's just evil stuff, Joe, and it's made all the more evil because Charlie was a friend. And the reason that she's doing this to me is very simple. It's because I'm a Jew. That is literally the only reason that Candace Owens is singling me out, not anyone else, is because I'm Jewish. Period. Full stop. End of story.
It is Josh Hammer. Go check out the Josh Hammer Show. It's a great show, by the way. Why do you think she's doing it? Because it's not only
Okay, I got to stop again. Look, maybe I'm digging into some conspiracies here. I think Josh Hammer is using this interview because he knows Joe Pags is an excellent journalist. Joe Pag has been taking Candaspiracy to the woodshed for the past week and a half. And he knows a lot of people are watching, a lot of eyes are on here, and he is throwing out challenges. I don't know if y'all caught that one, and maybe I might be reading into it. By him saying the only reason she has issue with him is because he's Jewish, she's going to have to answer that. She's going to have to say, no, I have problem with Josh because when we worked at the Daily Wire, he ate my lunch out of the refrigerator. Okay. Josh used to use the copier and take too long and mess up the copier, jam up the copier. She's going to have to say why. Otherwise, what Josh said is going to be true, that she doesn't like him because he's Jewish. And he said, full stop in the sentence.
Stop. Have a time.
I think, again, I see him throwing some real subtle lobs out there. And if she doesn't come back and address those, she's going to look really bad. Like, where's your evidence that you were talking to Charlie? People have been saying it, so he's not the first one to say it. He's not going to be the only one to say it. But he's saying it in a way that I think sticks a little bit differently, in my opinion. So I am really looking forward to seeing how he ends this, because this is the second, if not the third, little lob he's throwing out there. Just a little shoo, light the fuse and just throw it out there and see what happens. He's messing her day up for sure. Let's keep it going. Let's roll.
I believe you that she's an anti-Semite. I believe that that's my opinion by what she has said. It's not a hard it's not a hard leap for me to make. I'm a Christian guy. I know that Israel is the promised land to the chosen people. Those people should be in that land. I'm not saying Jews are better or worse than I am. I'm just saying that's the land for the Jews. That's clear. But she's made everything about that now. I mean, every single thing. And then she goes to this leap, which is really weird. I'm not Catholic. I grew up Catholic, but I'm not a denominational Christian now. She wants us to believe he wanted to become a Christian or a Catholic. And Andrew has answered this question, on podcasts since, that Charlie and Erica like to go to Catholic Mass. It's kind of interesting to go. It's a really nice celebration, but no, he wasn't becoming Catholic. What do you know what the angle is there, that she wants us to believe that he was going to be Catholic? Like that changes something? Do you know what's going on with that? I don't get it.
So I find immensely disturbing the notion that Charlie's that Charlie, if he were to be trending in an anti-Israel direction or anti-Semitic direction, would make more sense if he had been about to convert to Catholicism, right? I mean, that's basically what she's saying, right?
I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying that, of course, Charlie was turning on the Jews. He was about to become a Catholic. I mean, Candace Owens herself allegedly convert to Catholicism. I mean, what an incredibly insulting thing to say about your fellow Catholics, about the Catholic Church.
Yes.
That Catholicism is intrinsically anti-Semitic. I mean, look, the history of the Catholics and Jews for the past 2,000 years is very fraught, to put it mildly. But at a bare minimum, ever since Vatican II in 1965, those relations, praise be to God, have been very smooth for the most part, or
Yes.
way smoother. God bless, Pope John Paul II, many others who have gone above and beyond, to try to make sure that Jewish-Catholic relations are the best they've been for the past 2 millennia there. So this notion that because Charlie was about to allegedly convert there, therefore, oh yeah, of course he was turning Jews. I'm Jewish, but if I were a Catholic, I would be incredibly disturbed by this. And Candace Owens is someone who's allegedly Catholic. I mean, I think has a lot of explaining to do to her fellow Catholics. But for what it's worth, on the factual merit, nothing that I ever discussed personally with Charlie. My understanding of Charlie's Christianity was that he was a genuinely believing evangelical Protestant, and he really did believe in Protestantism. His pastor, Rob McCoy, who was in this WhatsApp chat with us, Pastor Rob McCoy spoke at Charlie's memorial out in Arizona. I become friends with Pastor. He's an amazing man, an absolutely amazing man. I have nothing but the kindest words to say about him. Pastor Rob was Charlie's spiritual mentor, and Pastor Rob himself, if I'm not mistaken, has said that this is not true, that Charlie Kirk was a Protestant and was going to remain a Protestant. Look, they went to Catholic Mass, I think, sometimes because Erica is herself Catholic, and they found a way to make the marriage work there with one Protestant, one Catholic. They had an amazing marriage. I mean, so it seems like there was no issue there whatsoever in the slightest there. But no, I don't think there's any credibility to the notion that Charlie was about to convert to Catholicism. But I kind of question the need to discuss this in the first place. Not you, Joe, but there's a lot of people talking about this. And to me, it's like, why? I mean, like, what are they trying to prove here?
Well, even if he did, that's the point that you're making. Even if he did, it doesn't play into liking or disliking Israel more or less. I'm an Italian guy from New York originally. I grew up Catholic. I went to CCD, and I learned that Israel was the promised land of the chosen people as a Catholic. So I'm not sure how that makes the divide more sensible in her mind. But then again, I don't want to get into her mind. It's Josh Hammer, Senior Counsel, Oracle Free Project. Check out the Josh Hammer show. What was the execution tweet about? Was it about Irina in Charlotte?
Have a time.
All right, I got to jump in here real quick, man. That was a lot. That was a lot. He said a lot right there. Shout out to Josh Hammer and Joe Pags. All right, I don't understand. I think Candaspiracy is an expert at chaos and an expert at causing confusion. She has us arguing about whether or not this man was converting or changing his faith, with no evidence whatsoever. She has us debating this topic. And the only reason we're talking about it is because she brought this thing into the Discord. That's it. Nobody else was saying it until Candaspiracy said it. And that's got to be crazy work. That's extra crazy work. But even more than that, what does that got to do with his passing away? So I do believe that this is meant to add a layer of just outright confusion. This is not division, by the way. And a lot of people want to say, well, is this going to divide the conservative movement? Truth does divide. Truth divides from error. Light divides from darkness. That's different than adding bona fide, unadulterated confusion. Confusion and division are not the same things. They're not even in the same family. Confusion is exactly that. From the author of confusion, the Lord of darkness, and division is from truth. Truth divides. Truth divides. It can separate. That truth does that. But what we are watching for Candaspiracy is just outright confusion. And we see it. When the candies come up to the front of the church, we make room for the candies at the front of the church because they're the ones who are confused. Not because they're divided, but because they're confused. They don't know their left hand from their right. They don't know their up from their down. They don't know. They're walking around backwards because they're chasing all of these crazy things that Candaspiracy throws out. We're literally arguing with no evidence, mind you, that Charlie Kirk was about to become a Catholic. No evidence. But even worse than that, what would that even mean? What's the point? Who would care? Really? In all seriousness, who would care? What does it mean? What's the point? So I appreciate that for sure. And I want to say real quick, thank you so much for the very kind. Madre says with the 249 Kronas. Thank you so much for the very kind. No comment, no question, just pure love of the game. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Sesmwe with the $10 super says, I don't interpret Josh's statements as meaning that the solution was Israel Judaism, but Judeo-Christian values. Christianity is a direct descendant of Judaism, and that's Romans 9:4-5. Today's Israel is a separate issue. I agree 1,000%. All I'm saying is I don't think that everything that Charlie Kirk discussed was about Israel. And I don't think everything that he discussed can be summarized or boiled down to the very last compound of Israel. There's just too much that he talked about. And that's really all I'm trying to say. And I don't want to diminish his ministry at all. I just want to put it from my understanding in a better context. He talked about a ton of stuff. And I mean, I don't think, going back to my HBCU example, I think we know that because a lot of people are in their feelings because they misinterpreted what he said about black families and what he said about black women and what he said about those things like that. We can talk about those. And I think we could also have that same level of heat and that same level of passion and discussion. And those are issues that we can resolve right here on our own soil. And I kind of wonder why Candace doesn't bring those up. Never mind. Let's not even do that. I think we all know why Candace doesn't bring those up, Jason. We know why. Let's go.
Yeah, so that was obviously the context. So Donald Trump had this tweet from years ago. I think it was in the context of the Boston Marathon bombing, Joe Zarnea. And Donald Trump has, Joe, there's kind of saying for Donald Trump, there's always a tweet, right? Because he's tweeted about everything over the years.
Yeah.
So he had this tweet, I think it's from 2013, calling for public execution for the Boston Marathon bomber. And some day in early September, I don't even remember what day it was, someone on my social media feed, I really don't remember who it was, but found this old tweet and started retweeting it. And a bunch of conservatives started retweeting it because there's always a tweet. And, Donald Trump is prescient. He's always right there. Joe, for what it's worth, I happen to be a longtime fan of actual public execution for the very simple reason that if you're going to do the death penalty for the worst, a serial killer, child rapist, whatever there, in my opinion, there's no point in trying to hide it behind closed doors. I think that reasonable people can disagree on the death penalty, but once you've decided to actually take a life, in my opinion, the state actually should indeed take that life. So I've actually been calling this literally since my law school days. I used to debate liberal law students on this very question. So I saw Donald Trump say this in the context of Joker Zarnea of the Boston Marathon bomber, and I retweeted it and said base because, yes, I was obviously talking about, as everyone's talking about the day, Irina Zarutska, the horrific story of the Ukrainian refugee in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, the notion that I was, she's alleging that I was foreshadowing Charlie's horrific assassination and a few days later or a week later, whatever the exact timeline is. I mean, it's just so insane that I hate the fact that we have to waste our time even trying to debunk this. But right. I mean, I'll say just one thing, I guess. I barely, frankly, even want to dignify it. But I mean, one thing I will say is, there's a difference between execution and assassination. And execution is the electric chair or the lethal cocktail or the firing squad in states that still permit it there. Right. That is not assassination, okay? No one says, really, in kind of common English language usage, no one says that Martin Luther King Jr. was executed. You say that he was assassinated. No one says that JFK was executed. You say that he was assassinated. There's a distinction there, but that's probably even giving it, honestly, too much credibility just to even kind of go down there.
I mean, even to that tone and tenor of it all, Ted Bundy was executed. He wasn't assassinated. So I get it. I hear where you're coming from, and it didn't make any sense. And obviously, you're free and you're walking around, so nobody in authority thinks that you were foreshadowing something you knew about that was going to happen the next day. But the problem here is this, and I want to get to this in earnest if you don't mind, because you're closer to it than I am. There are millions of people, Josh, who believe everything she says. Millions. And I've got 1.1 million followers on TikTok. I've got over 500,000 on Instagram. People who love my stuff are arguing with me and threatening to unfollow me if I don't get in line and understand that Candace is trying to find out what really happened to her dear friend Charlie. How do you deprogram people like that? Because A, she's an attractive person. B, delivers what she's saying very, very well. C, acts like she's just coming up with it and she's doing a deep dive investigation and she's an incredible journalist and they are buying the soap opera. How do we, those of us who I believe that you're with me on the right side of this issue, how do we deprogram them?
Jay, you're asking a wonderful question that I sadly don't know the answer to. This is one of the problems of our time, is that there are a lot of people from the right to the left, to the middle, and everywhere in between that are falling for just total dimwits, unthinking idiocy. I mean, I don't know how else to say it there. And part of this is just due to the nature of our times, right? And look, I draw a straight line all the way back to Russiagate. To me, Russiagate and the Russia collusion delusion, all of that was the beginnings of a series of events. From that to the 2020 COVID lockdowns, to the Hunter Biden laptop, to the prosecutions of Donald J. Trump, to Democrats hiding their mental patient of a president, and on there. In a series of events that really caused the American people to just lose complete and utter trust in the ruling class, in elites and authorities, institutions, much of which I totally agree with, by the way, much of which I completely agree with. I think that the ruling class and elites have done incredible amounts to completely besmirch and undermine their own reputations, their own legitimacy. The problem is that you then run the risk of entering an ultra conspiratorial age where people just question everything, that nothing that is told. I mean, for some people, Joe, you could say the sky is blue, and they might say, well, is it actually blue? Or, right. And when you start going down this rabbit hole of questioning literally everything, then that's where someone like Candace Owens really picks up market share in kind of the space of podcasting. And the corollary of that as well is that
I agree with Josh. And I told you all the story from the scriptures of the story of Mephibosheth and David. And that's a perfect example. Like, you cannot unhear a lie. And it will always be just a little smidgen, a grain of salt that it will be in your mind no matter what. So even if you believe 99.9, whatever percent, that little tiny less than a fraction of a percent is going to still be a bothersome. It's still going to be there. And that's what we have here, where the conspiracies and the rumors and the gossip have taken over to the point that you just don't trust anything because we've allowed it, because we're not using truth to discern this foolishness and say, no, we're not even rolling with what you're saying. What you're saying is crazy town, or is not necessary in this discussion, but we're just trying to defend it with our own common sense or lack of common sense. And now look where we are.
When you start getting into the realm of conspiracies, historically speaking, for the past 4,000 years, there's really one group of people that oftentimes find themselves on the wrong end of conspiracies, and that really is the Jewish people. So that's kind of how I see it. I don't necessarily have all the best ideas for how to confront it, other than that you should keep on speaking. I should keep on speaking. Everyone who actually believes in truth, that the facts still matter, that the law still matters, that merits still matter there. For most Americans, Joe, especially outside of the social media mob, for most Americans, this stuff really does still matter. Unfortunately, there definitely is a market share for people like Candace Owens. And look, no one knows it more than me. I mean, she's basically sicked her mob on me. I have seen so much of this filth all across social media. It's awful. I mean, it's absolutely, people have in many ways lost their ability to think constructively and creatively. And all that folks like you and I can do is keep on talking the truth, trying to guide them to the truth, and hope that more people join along the way.
Josh Hammer, the Josh Hammer Show. Israel and Civilization is the book. Go and get it. It came out in March. I want to talk a little bit about what I posted, not because I want you to tell me how good it was.
I was
know that it was
muted.
good.
I was muted. It's hilarious. Oh, that is hilarious. That's what I get, man. That's what I get. I was over here cooking too. I was just going at it, y'all. I was just having, man. I appreciate y'all are the best. See, StreamYard, shout out to StreamYard, by the way. I'm doing a project with StreamYard. They would be well served to allow me to have somebody in the back office, somebody in backstage that can remind me of this kind of dumb stuff or bail me out and actually unmute my microphone. Wow, y'all are burning me up. Wait, what is this? Y'all are burning your boy up. I might have to do that. I might have to look, maybe that's the text message. Maybe I just got a text message. No, it's my niece texting me. Yo, y'all burning your boy up. Goodness gracious, man. I'm going to put myself in timeout. I'm going to put myself in 0-second timeout. What I was saying was I believe that Josh Hammer was throwing some more shade at the Candaspiracy cult. And what I mean by that is he just said, you know what? I'm seeing all these comments and they're attacking me on social media. And we all know that's true because we see it all over the place, right? But the problem is for Josh, because he's actually speaking truth, real truth, not that truth light or truth adjacent thing that Candace does, that truth will bubble up to the top. And it will rise above the foolishness. So the more they attack, the more it'll rise up. Whereas on Candace, that's not truth. It's a half truths, partial truths, sort of kind of maybe, but not really truths, so on and so forth. So therefore, it won't bubble up. And you'll keep seeing Josh Hammer getting invited to more and more and more podcasts to talk about this, to interview, to talk about this, so on and so forth. Notice nobody's interviewing Candace. Nobody's interviewing Candace. Why is that? Why is nobody interviewing Candace Owens? Why is she not on MSNBC, CNN, or The View, or I don't know, the Chitlin Circuit, the Fried Catfish Circuit podcast? Why? Why is nobody interviewing Candace? I think we all know why. Dang. Y'all was burning your boy up. I redid it, though. Lord. Oh, man. I was cooking and they was dogging me out. Oh, they was getting me. Oh, they was giving me that word. They was giving me the 1-2 punch. Oh, man. See, the thing is, I don't like when podcasters leave their mics on and the mics pick up like them drinking or breathing. Like sometimes I hear myself breathing in the mic and I'm like, I don't like this. I always put myself on mute and man, y'all was burning your boy up. Y'all was giving me that work. Shout out to MT. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Had to leave for a bit, but yes, you're right. Only reason it's a conversation is because Candy made it. Everyone else focused on revival. Hers, the Jews. And shout out for that. Thank you. I was going to talk about that. If you want to believe that Candace Owens is an agent of chaos, and I'm going to go on here. I've said it before. My name is Jason. DearWokeC@gmail.com. Candace Owens is not a Christian. Okay. I don't know if I need to pull on the side cam to say it again, but I'll say it again. Candace Owens is not a Christian. She's not. Whatever you think about Catholicism, whatever you think about Catholics, Candace Owens is not born again. She is not regenerated in her heart. Her heart is still lost, dead in his trespasses and sins. She is not a Christian. Period. End of day, I can meet you out here. I can meet you in my backyard. I can catch you down at the mailbox, but I'll still say it as sure as my name is Jason. Candace Owens is not a Christian. Okay, now, Jason, hold on now. Wait up now, Jason. Hold up. Hold on now. How are you making such an emphatic claim as a woman is not born again? We don't know who's really a Christian. That's true. That's true. We don't know who really is born again when the smoke really clears. You know what? That's true. That's true. All we can look at is the fruit of their lives. All we have is the fruit of their lives. That's why, as a school teacher, I know a whole bunch about your family by looking at your children. I can tell you a whole bunch about your household looking at your kids from day 1 to day 180. I can tell you a whole lot about your family. I don't ever have to meet your mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, dog catcher. I don't have to meet any of them people. Let me hang out with your kids long enough. I'll know everything about your family. Everything. Whether you pay your lights on time, whether or not you smoke weed in the car while you're driving, whether or not you pay you steal from the grocery store. I'm going to know everything about you from your children. Why? Because that's your fruit. We can tell them by their fruit. Let's go back to Candace. Look at the fruit of Candace's response to Charlie Kirk's death. It's all been about Candace. It's all been about chaos. It's all been about confusion. You have not heard a gospel plea from Candace at all. My name is Jason, dearwokesy@gmail.com. She doesn't care about promoting the gospel and making much of Christ in this opportunity when everybody was talking about Jesus to some degree, shape, or form. That week, right after, the week and a half, 2 weeks after, you had an open audience. What's Candace talking about? Underground bee, communist bee farms, space lasers shooting Charlie, Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles got in there, got caught strays. But you know who did not catch a stray? Jesus. She did not even have her heart in recognizing like all these people were interested in what is this thing about this man that made him want to go to these college campuses and is willing to die for it. This chick bringing up crazy scenarios and all that kind of stuff, removing the focus from Jesus and people's interest in wanting to hear the gospel. Candace will have 4.2 million people watch a video and they won't know that she's a Christian. I got 380 people in here. Hopefully all 380 hit the like button. But y'all don't have a choice. Y'all have heard this dude talk about Christ. So to some degree, shape, or form, you can say, man, maybe he's a Christian. Let me dig in a little bit more what he's talking about. But you don't hear anything from Candace. Not a smidgen. And I put the challenge out there, and I'm going to keep putting it out there. Show me a video where Candace Owens makes a gospel plea to anybody. The Macrons, Muslims, Andrew Tate, bald black guys in Georgia, anybody. I will watch it and I will eat my hat, proverbially, because I like my hat. There we go. Show me. Show me. I'm lying. Who lying? First of all, who lying? Somebody lying? Oh my goodness, somebody up in here lying. Y'all tell Ian Tran, somebody needs to stop lying. Okay, real quick. Shout out. But yeah, I'm putting it out there. Show me a clip of Candace Owens preaching the gospel, sharing Christ with anybody. Anybody. I will watch. When she's on a podcast, on a whatever podcast, or she was on her own podcast. Show me one clip. That's all I want to see. Just one. All right, looking through here. Okay, that was it. I promise. And you know what? I'm just going to sit back from the microphone. I'm not putting the thing on pause, mute anymore because this is crazy work. So anybody, thank y'all, everybody. Let's get it going. Let's go.
But I want to talk about it because there's a delineation between soap opera garbage. I'm going to drop more information tomorrow to get 2 million more views. And I'm looking at it as a journalist. Here's what she said. Here's where she was wrong. Here's what she said. Here's where she was wrong. Now, people that have said I'm a misogynist because I'm doing it. So I think somebody called me a racist, which doesn't make any sense. But in the videos that I posted, I just go down the list of how you should have covered the story. And there's an overtone from her in everything that she said that she's got to find the bad guy. And somehow you got that role. What people need to understand, and maybe I'm making more of a statement than a question, but I do want your reaction to it. What they have to understand is you must have been so extremely close to Charlie Kirk that he literally was asking you for advice on how to make sure people understand the difference between people dying in Gaza and Hamas attacking somebody over here and Israel not being behind it. You were in the circle up until the moment he lost his life. Why do you think it was easy for her and those sycophants that follow her to believe that you are the subhuman filth that she called you? Josh, you have the bona fides. You were in the group chat. You were on the Zoom call. You were in Charlie's circle until he lost his life. Why was it so easy? Do you really believe it's because you're Jewish? Is that really
Yes.
what it is?
That is 1,000% the answer, Joe, is because Candace Owens and her followers can't stand the fact that Charlie Kirk was a man of his word. And when he wrote in the first sentence of that letter to Netanyahu that one of his greatest joys in life is forming alliances between Christians and Jews, that he meant it and he lived it. And one of the ways of living it in the final year of his life, give or take, was that WhatsApp chat. One of his ways of living it was befriending me. I mean, I am literally the Jew in Charlie Kirk's realization of living out the Jewish Christian alliance. I mean, to be clear, he was friends with many Jews, but I was one of them. I saw this firsthand there. And I think for Candace Owens, and to an extent for Tucker and others who just can't stand the fact that Charlie Kirk really was in his core an old school Genesis chapter 12, God will bless those who bless the children of Israel kind of guy, that was actually where his Christian theology was coming from. They can't stand that. They absolutely cannot stand that there. And because of that, they have to try to revise and retcon history to suggest that at minimum, someone like myself was not actually as close to Charlie. At maximum, perhaps, we were tools of a foreign government, or we were on some payroll, or God forbid, we had foreknowledge or complicity in his horrific assassination. I mean, it's sick stuff. It is truly, truly sick, demented stuff. But the fact that someone like me, a proud Jew who wrote a book on Israel and civilization, by the way, Joe, the last time I saw Charlie in person, it was at that Hamptons retreat, the one with Charlie and Bill Ackman that he mentioned earlier. I signed a copy of my book for Charlie Kirk at that very retreat. He said he looked forward to reading it. On the very final Zoom call that we had, he made a joke to me, a kind of an offhand joke. He was like, Josh, he basically said, Josh, I'm going to help you sell book copies on this tour. When this question comes up, I'm just going to say, hey, read Josh Hammer's book, Israel and Civilization, because he and I saw this through the same civilizational framing. That's why he named the WhatsApp chat Saving Civilization. We saw the issue, the exact.
All right. Shout out to Josh Hammer and the book, the book plug. Shout out to the book plug. Hey, do your thing, man. Do your thing, my guy. I ain't mad at you, whatever. Hey, because, the Candies can't be upset because Candies does a merch drop every video. So you got to be consistent. If Josh is wrong for shouting out his book, then Candace is wrong for shouting out all of her merchandise. I'm just saying. Just putting it out there, y'all. But again, shout out to him, man. He covered, Josh Hammer is covering a whole bunch here that people have had that have allowed themselves to get caught up in the Candaspiracy cult. And I think he's doing a good job. Shout out to him again. Would I do everything exactly the same way? Probably not. Would I address every single issue? Probably not. But I do appreciate what he's doing, and I give him a hat tip for that for sure, because I think he's making his case. And as I said earlier, he's thrown some lobs out there that Candaspiracy is going to have to address, or it's going to make her look really bad, in my opinion. But let's finish this up, and I won't put myself on mute.
Same way. And for all those reasons, the Candace Owenses of the world can't stand that. They can't stand that Charlie Kirk was close to a Torah observant, Bible believing Jew. They can't stand the fact that Charlie Kirk was close to people like me who would give him advice and just kind of exchange thoughts. When it came to this issue and other issues there, it complicates their narrative, and therefore the narrative has to be destroyed.
Yeah, it's interesting because she's not going after people like Andrew. She's not going after people like Mikey, not going after people like Erica. She only seems to be going after you. So I wanted to know if you thought that's why, and you said it absolutely is. It's Josh Hammer. Get his book called Israel and Civilization. Also go to article3project.org. Check out his show, The Josh Hammer Show. Do you know Erica well? Have you spoken to Erica since Charlie died? And the reason I ask is not to get third-person, drama or gossip from you, but I noticed that she hasn't said anything in regard to all the allegations that Candace Owens is putting out there. I don't think she has to. I don't think you have to be honest. I'm glad that you are. But is there anything going on in the inner circle from Erica on down where they're going, we probably should get in front of this because she's got millions of people that are believing what she's laying down?
All right, that's a good question. I want to stop for a second and process that one because, yeah, we've all been wondering this. And again, I've said it before. My stance is I don't think TPUSA should give her any sunlight. They should give her no air whatsoever and just stay away from her whatsoever. Even though she's acting a fool, I would stay away from her, in my opinion. That would be my advice. But they have attorneys. They've been at this game a whole lot longer than me. So I don't want to assume that what they're doing is wrong. It's just probably not what I would do. But I am going to do, however, is shout out these people that drop these great supers. What does Marshawn say this? Thank you for bringing this to us. Thank you for the very kind $10 super. I appreciate you. Oh, she dropped me a 2 and told me I was muted. Oh my gosh. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am not going to do that again. Gosh, man, I hate when I do that. MT says this. That was one earlier. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I did talk about that. But here's another for MT, another very kind $5 super. Charlie's America Fixes, restore faith and family, church-led charity, moral education, pro-life laws, limited government, neighbor love, Gen Z. So I grew up on Charlie. That's it. That's it. And all I want to point out is none of this requires that I have to talk about Israel. That's all. And so I think what Charlie really was doing, if he had 100 minutes and 60 of those minutes were spent on this and 40% or 40 minutes were spent on Israel and what's going on in the Middle East, I still think we need to go look at what was he talking about 60% of the time. That's what I see. So thank you so much for that, man. Thank you for pointing it out. And y'all know that John has been a member for a month. Imagine a rock absorbing Jesus' voice when he gave the Sermon on the Mount. That is what the StreamYard just did to you. Oh, StreamYard. No, it was my fault. Let me give StreamYard credit. They need to give a hotkey, though. If I had a hotkey, it'd make it a whole lot easier to hit the button. But, I mean, if it's just like the space bar, I make that the space bar. Bam, go. Shout out for sure. Thank y'all so much for the very kind supers. Let's get done with what Josh is saying. Let's go.
Joe, I actually do not know Erica well. I would very much like to get to know her better. I mean, we've interacted in passing, but not a whole lot more than that. Look, I mean, she's a grieving widow. I mean, this is someone. I believe it's a matter of public record that Erica's mother is in somewhat poor health, so she has to deal with that. She has to deal with these 2 children. I mean, she's grieving her husband there. She's stepping into this new role as CEO of Turning Point USA, a massive organization that her late husband founded. I mean, she's got a lot going on. So I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily blame her for not putting out a statement saying that Candace Owens is disgraceful. Having said that, I can tell you that I've heard from folks who have spoken with Erica, and I shouldn't name names, but I have heard secondhand that Erica Kirk is livid. I have heard that she is livid at Candace Owens, and that perhaps there's only a matter of time before she says something or does something to try to make that clear. Because just as a matter of Turning Point USA, I mean, what Candace is doing to Turning Point USA is reprehensible. This is an organization that has lost its founder, that is trying to figure out the best path forward, and she is just trying to tear it apart at the seams by stoking the flames of this Christian-Jewish war, God forbid, by trying to stoke the flames of this greater war about Charlie Kirk's legacy. It's disgusting stuff that has the intended effect of just destroying. But Charlie Kirk was not a destroyer. Charlie Kirk was a builder. He built things. He built alliances. He built friendships. He built organizations. Candace Owens is the opposite of that. She destroys friendships. She destroys people. She destroys organizations there. So it is reprehensible. And again, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I've heard from numerous people that Erica Kirk is not happy about this.
Wow, how could...
Man, I'm going to have to back that up. Josh Hammer was cooking right there. He was cooking right there. Charlie Kirk was a builder. Candace is a destroyer. She can't build. And I've thrown that proposition out there. Why is Candace not doing what Charlie Kirk did? Why is she not going to college campuses? Why is she not engaging with the people face to face? Why is she not doing that? Why does she need Charlie Kirk and TPUSA in order to do it? She has a platform. She can go out and do this, right? She has the base. She can go out to the University of Virginia. She can go to Tennessee State. She can go to the university right there in Tennessee, right there, University of Nashville, University of Tennessee at Nashville. She can be right there. What's stopping her? Why is Candace not doing this? Why are the Candies not running out to support Candace in doing the thing that Charlie Kirk was doing? Because Candace can do it better. I mean, come on. Come on. Why is she not doing it? That's a question I think people need to ask. She homeschooling her kids? Okay, say less then. Why do you have time to raise all this cane and wreak havoc then? I'm just asking questions. But she's fighting to go to Australia. Australia banned her, and she's fighting and suing the country of Australia to be able to be let into Australia. But she homeschooling now. See what I mean? Like, if she's not, and this is what I'm saying, like the Candies, shout out to the Candies because they came up here to the front of the church. They already know that there's seats up here in the front of the church. I appreciate all of them. They know that Candace is being inconsistent. She's worrying about what's going on in Israel and the Middle East. She's worried about what's going on in Australia, but she doesn't care about what's going on in downtown Nashville. Why are you not speaking out about what goes on in your own town and state? I talk about Atlanta all the time. I do. I talk about more passionately what goes on in my church and what goes on right here at Whitaker Park. You know why? Because I'm a churchman, because I'm a father, and my daughter just pulled in the driveway. Shout out. I just heard her. My garage door open. I'm happy about that thing. And I'm gonna open up the little app and see her pulling in the garage because she was gone away and I was thinking she was making my nerves bad. And there's my car pulling in the garage. Shout out. But why don't I see Candaspiracy doing that stuff? Why don't I see her going to the state college and setting up a table and doing that event? Why? Why does she need TPUSA to bring her on stage to do it? Baby, build your own stage. You have the platform. You got the draw. You got the 25 quadrillion people that follow you, right? You can do that. You don't need to go to Australia to do it. You can do it right here. Why don't you do it? I think we all know why she doesn't do it. That was crazy work. Shout out. Let's finish this up, Jason. Let's get done.
She not be livid. I mean, I would think that would be the reaction. And what I said in one of my videos is very simple. If, in fact, Charlie Kirk wanted Candace Owens back on stage in the organization, Erica would know about that, and Erica, as the CEO, would bring her back. I noticed that she's not saying that. I think Andrew's trying to get ahead of some of this. He said, no, he wasn't turning Catholic, just like to go to the masses, and so on and so forth. But at some point, because I hate that she's the reason why, but at some point, I think people have to be as forthcoming as you inside of the organization. Otherwise, it looks very clear to me that she's trying to either split up the organization that put her on the map in many ways, or she's trying to split up the MAGA right, which doesn't make any sense. What do you think it is? Do you think it's both in one, that she's trying to somehow destroy the organization that made her a household name in many ways? Or is she trying to somehow put a divide on those of us who are on the right, who are conservatives, who are basically MAGA? What is the goal? Or is it just about clicks, Josh? Just about getting clicks?
Joe, I think it's all the above, but I think it is most bucket two. So, my column that just came out, my last syndicated column, is titled Operation Divide MAGA. That's literally the title of the column.
Okay.
That is my read on what Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and others are doing right now. Joe, I'm very active in the whole NatCon scene, the whole National Conservatism Conference scene.
Right.
I'm a research fellow at the organization that puts on the conferences. So at our last conference, which was in early September in Washington, D.C., I wasn't there firsthand, but I had multiple friends who were there who told me. One of Tucker's little acolytes, a somewhat execrable human being known as Kurt Mills. He's the editor of the publication calling himself the American Conservative. It's not particularly a conservative publication, but anyway, Kurt Mills, who spoke at the conference, did an Israel debate, was drinking at the bar, said two friends who overheard him, and was getting a little sloppy with his drinks, and apparently said out loud the quiet part, which is that his number one professed goal for this second Trump term is to separate Christians from Jews. and to separate evangelicals from Israel. Now, you would be mistaken, right? If someone who's the editor of the American Conservative magazine, you would be mistaken for thinking that his number one goal might be, I don't know, boosting wages or reshoring jobs or securing the southern border or stopping Chinese hegemony in the East China Sea or on and on and on. But no,
or lowering taxation, lowering regulation, increasing freedom. Yeah, that would be I would think the conservative would want that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But for some people, and I think Candace is 1,000% in this category. I increasingly think Tucker Carlson is very much in this category as well. That really is the motivating factor. And I think it was Megan Basham, a very prominent evangelical Protestant voice, Daily Wire, among other places. She's wonderful. I think it was Megan Basham who put on Twitter at some point that if you're trying to suppress evangelical political enthusiasm and trying to destroy the right, one obvious way of doing it would be to focus maniacally on Israel, because everyone knows who follows politics that most evangelical Christians are very, very, very pro-Israel. And evangelical Christians are still the very core of the MAGA base. Roughly 50% of Donald Trump's voters are evangelical Christian, give or take. So it's a very easy way.
Okay, I gotta stop him for a second. No, hold on.
Stop. Have a time.
I understand that. I guess I would fall under the framework of an evangelical Christian, a Reform, Presbyterian, whatever term you need to use. I do not think about Israel like that. I do not spend that amount of time thinking about Israel. I do think a lot about people that look like me, men that are relatively my age, my same melanin content, that are not raising their children, that are not loving their wives, that are not leading their families to worshiping Christ. That's what I think about a lot more than I think about Israel. Does that mean I don't care about Israel? Don't hear what I didn't say. Hear what I did say. I'm concerned about men that look like me, that are not raising their families. That bothers me quite a bit. That's a very big issue in my mind. So a movement that would push and encourage men to love their wives, to have a lot of little people, to raise those little people, to become functional members of society, that right there, that makes me interested. That gets my interest up. As a believer in Christ, I am not losing sleep over Israel. And that's what I said earlier. I don't think that we should always make everything. And I understand Josh Hammer, he's a hammer looking for a nail, right? He's got his own thing. He's got his thing. I'm not mad at Josh at all. But on the same note, however, that's not my interest. And I had somebody in my comment section before, and they came into my email and they were very upset because I said, I'm not invested in Gaza. I'm not invested in Israel. I'm invested in my family. I'm invested deeply in being a deacon at my church. I'm very, very invested in supporting my brothers who are alumni from Morehouse with me. I'm very invested in seeing them grow and prosper and seeing their families flourish. I want to see my church community grow and flourish. Those don't have to be mutually exclusive, but one of them is not going to take over the other one. Well, one will, I apologize. And that's my interest on what's going on right here. I'm not interested in 9 time zones away. I'm just not. It's not going to get my full unadulterated attention. Do I want Israel to be safe? Absolutely. Do I want people to die indiscriminately? No, because if they die without Christ, they're now living in a Christless eternity. I don't want that at all. Not even a little bit. So no, I want peace over there. But on the same note, there's a lot of hell being raised right here. So y'all can go get that peace over there, but we need to get peace right here. So I disagree with Josh right here. Again, hat tip. I respect him because he definitely seemed like he's got his thing. But I think he's falsely falling into what the trap that Candaspiracy is setting, which is everything is about Israel. No, it's not. And the vast majority of people who are Christian are not like that. They're not sitting there. Now, there are some, and that's their thing. That's their jam. But most people are concerned about why are we paying $4 a gallon in gas. That's what they're thinking about. They're not worrying about these other things like that. They're not on the same level. They've triaged these things. They're putting them in the proper categories, if you will. And this is just not on that category like that. Okay, let's go.
To try to divide the MAGA movement. And that is my actual honest to God take. as to what the Candaces and Tuckers of the world are trying to do. I think they're trying to basically destroy the movement Donald Trump built and to build a new movement in its ashes. I don't know exactly what that looks like. Maybe it runs under a third-party label in 2028, maybe Elon Musk's America Party. I don't really know. But this new party, if it happens, would not be biblical but unbiblical. It would not be Christian but post-Christian. It would not be facts and policy in substance. It would be post-facts, post-substance. It's basically horrific is what I'm trying to say here. And I think that that is essentially what's going on there, is that they see an opportunity to try to destroy, because they are destroyers, and then try to rebuild and to try to kind of gain market share in its ashes. I think that that is a big part of what was going on here, because ultimately, Joe, Jews are roughly 2% of the American population. Evangelicals are a lot bigger there. So
Yeah.
the Jews are the immediate.
I think Josh is through another lob at Candaspiracy. He just said they're going to try to start a third party out of the ashes of the MAGA movement. First of all, MAGA movement is not Christian. So let's not even, I don't like that he tried to make that, conflate that. MAGA movement, now sure, is definitely more Christian than the party of death. No question, no argument for me whatsoever. But let's not say that the MAGA movement is Christian. That's not it. However, back to the point, I think he just called them out when he said, look, they're trying to destroy the MAGA movement and build something new in its place. So people are going to be watching. People have heard that. And they're going to watch and they're going to listen and they're going to pay attention to what Candace is doing. And they also see that Candace isn't building something. She isn't building something. There's something already built called TPUSA. Why are you not working with them? Why does it look like you're working against them? And dare I say, reaching far in order to try to implicate them in stuff that they're not implicated in. Why are you doing that? So I do think that there's going to be some fun days ahead of us, and I'm saying that in the most tongue-in-cheek way possible. We are going to finish this up, Jason, so let's go.
Target of this information operation, but in many ways, actually, it's evangelical Christians who I think are really kind of ultimately kind of most in the crosshairs here.
I'm glad that we're shining a light on it, because it's not okay. And this reminds me a lot of the Tea Party movement that suddenly splintered and then it went away and it didn't have the effect that it originally had. We need to make sure that we stick to our guns here and that we're very firm in our conservatism. And Jewish, Christian, any of that, Muslim, I don't care who you are. If you're somebody who wants more freedom, liberty, you love the Constitution, lower regulations, and you would like for us to all get along, I think that we're finding that those who follow people like Donald Trump are the ones who believe in all of that. I mean, with the peace deal, that looks like it'll happen. We'll see. We're finding out that those of us who are MAGA need to make sure that we're very firm in what it is that we believe and not let these outliers do what they're trying to do. Two last questions. Number one, because I don't want to go with that. You talking about the peace deal. Can we believe Hamas? Because we believed the PLO until we couldn't. We believed the Palestinian Authority until we couldn't. The Muslim Brotherhood was good until it was bad. So do we believe that Hamas is actually going to do this? And will the nation states around Israel really keep the pressure on them to not be involved in a Gazan government?
Joe, I want to say the answer is yes, but count me as profoundly skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally Hamas. I mean, this is literally a 7th century aspiring Sharia supremacist Islamist death cult. This is an organization that has existed for almost 30 years, or actually, no, sorry, almost 40 years.
Yeah.
With the avowed goal of murdering every Jew throughout the world, and if they can help it, murdering every so-called infidel, which means non-Sharia supremacist Muslim. So this is basically trying to trust Al Qaeda. This notion that Hamas will kind of like show up at the town square and they'll look at the Americans or the Saudis or the British, whoever, and just turn in their arms. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I want it to happen. I would very much love for that to be the case. Don't get me wrong. And the fact that the hostages are set to be released is amazing. But as far as a post-Hamas Gaza, there are a lot of questions. Among those questions is, even if that happens, even if that threshold actually happens, who comes in next? I mean, is Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority going to just replace Hamas? I mean, that's a distinction without much of a huge difference. I mean, it's a small difference, but it's frankly not a mass difference. I mean, Mahmoud Abbas is the guy who literally wrote his PhD dissertation decades ago in the Soviet University in Moscow on Holocaust denial. So it's not exactly a massive upgrade from Hamas, is it?
Right.
So there's a lot of questions. But what I will say, Joe, is I give the president a lot of credit for trying. And if the hostages are released, that alone certainly is a massive achievement.
Last question for Josh Hammer. Get his book called Israel and Civilization. Also go to Article 3 Project. Check out his op-ed that he just wrote. It's called Operation Divide MAGA. It's over on Newsweek. Do you think the story we're being told about what happened to Charlie is the true story? Do you think there might be more to it? What is your feeling on what we're being told so far?
Joe, I have no reason for thinking it's anything other than the true story. That's what Andrew Colvett, Charlie's executive producer, said on Chris Cuomo's cable news show recently. That's been my impression ever since day one. It's always possible that there's more to the story. Certainly, look, I mean, these horrible things happen, and you kind of ask yourself, how did this one freaky kid somehow do this? I mean, I think back to Crooks, whatever the kid's name was in Butler, Pennsylvania, who almost took Donald Trump's ear off there.
Right.
And I mean, how the heck did this guy get there? Was he funded by Iran, Qatar, Russia? I mean, who knows? But look, I mean, unless I tend to be an evidence-based person, unless and until there is evidence that there is more here. I think it's a pretty straightforward narrative. This is someone who grew up in a very conservative Mormon setting in rural Utah. He was deeply radicalized by leftist indoctrination at the university. He was in a romantic relationship with a transgender roommate. He intuited the leftist neo-Marxist woke idea that speech is violence, and therefore you respond to speech, not with speech, but with violence.
Right.
And he heard Charlie Kirk. He literally fired his rifle right as Charlie Kirk was talking about transgender violence. That's not an accident. Okay, he was very much making a statement there. So to me, it seems like a pretty straightforward case, but I guess we'll see if there's more. I don't think there is, though, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something more to it, but certainly what they've told us so far seems to work out. And I've had actual former snipers on to say, yeah, it probably is what they say. But then there are others that are saying that it's not. There are a lot of conspiracy theories. Just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Josh, thanks for all the time. I'm sorry that you're facing this. You seem like a really good dude. I look forward to meeting you in person at some point. I hope that the people who are following what she's saying and believing it will wake up through conversations like this. So thanks a lot for coming on, my brother.
God bless you, Joe. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right, shout out to Joe Pags and Josh Hammer. That was a great interview, man. There was a lot there. Hey, like him or not, he gave a lot of information. I guess a good thing is, like, can we see Candace come on, Joe? I'm sure Joe Pags would have Candace come on. Will she come on and, maybe refute this or maybe give another angle? That would be interesting for sure. But do you think she would do that? And if not, I mean, if you don't think she would, why not? Why would she not do that? I'd love to know why she wouldn't. All right, I had another video that I want to show y'all. There was two of them, actually, and I thought they were very useful and help us with this. But before we get too far afield, real quick, I want to say thank you to MT. He says, exactly, main area of overlap I see with U.S.-Israel is Qatar, being the biggest funder of most liberal anti-West universities. Worst idea. Start there. Well, there we go. Can we fix that? That's something we need to fix right here. Well, we can weed that out right here. We can get that funding out of that situation, out of the mix right now, right here. I agree with you right there. Danny, thank you so much for the $10 super. Says this: the MAGA movement is not strictly Christian, but Christians make up the vital component of the MAGA movement. I would even go as far as to say that there would be no MAGA movement without Christians. That's fair. I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of the things that happen on the right predominantly do have because it's common sense. It's just, you don't have to be a Christian to believe that you want to make America great. You don't have to be a Christian to believe that conservatism works. That's just not you don't have to, it's not a far-fetched to say, oh, you know what? Men are men and women are women. That sounds like a crazy thought right now, but it doesn't take much to do that. So I can rock with that. Thank you very much for that kind $10 super. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And everybody, I appreciate y'all rocking with us. Now, some people ask me to look at this young lady who talked about why she left the Candaspiracy cult. And she calls it a cult. I have to admit, in all fairness, I didn't get a chance to watch it. So we're going to watch it together. But I do want to hear what y'all thoughts are on this. So we'll be jumping into the most electrifying live chat on the planet for sure. And let's go with no further ado.
Okay, I didn't want to leave you guys on a crazy weekend cliffhanger. I needed to get that information out as soon as possible. Obviously, you can probably see that I received some information, a communication, which answered a lot of questions that the public has had about the story, or rather the non-story that we are getting from the feds, the push that Tyler Robinson is this lone shooter, which they're trying to establish as a fact. Some of the burning questions that we had, okay, well, if he turned himself in, how did he also not confess? I now have the answers to that. The main point, the reason why this information came to me is because there's a narrative being spun right now by the media that Tyler Robinson is or was suicidal. That is not true. And that's a very scary thing when suddenly they're saying he's suicidal and, you know, he's in solitary, and he's not suicidal. So that was the reason why this information urgently came to me. Obviously, I know a lot more, and I'm going to share it with you guys on Monday. I just wanted to vet some of the things that I heard, ask some more questions from people that would know, and just to make sure everything I say is above board. And obviously, this lead led to more leads, and I want to give people a chance to respond. This is crazy. Nothing more than I can say. This is very serious. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that what we are being told has gone on is just not so. And yeah, this is really kind of going to begin, I think, to answer a lot of questions and many more questions that need to be asked. So I just wanted to let you know that what they're telling us about him being suicidal is not true.
Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to jump in real quick because I see a lot of comments about this. Candace, and I did find the other video. I have a third video I want to show you, and it's somebody who breaks down conspiracies. And so definitely stay tuned. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit the like button. But Candace is literally saying, I don't know something, but I'm telling you what I don't know. Like, how does that even work? And as we've mentioned before, this is Dunning-Kruger effect. When somebody doesn't know something, but they learn just a little bit about it and they want to go teach it. And they want to go become an expert because they know something about gardening, or they learn something about recycling, learn something about cameras, and they just want to go and preach it almost. They want to go and tell everybody they know about what they learned about lights or what they learned about how to make coffee. But they only have learned just a smidgen compared to the breadth of knowledge that's there about that topic. But they're out there, and now they're positioning themselves and posturing themselves as if they're an expert in it. And they actually don't know anything comparatively to based upon the information that's available. That's Candace in 4K. That is Candace. Thank you, MT, again. What does MT say here? I don't like influencers getting money from either side. Ergo, Ahmed Malik, founder of Tucker Show, is also in biz with Candy's husband, Muslim Iranian Democrat. Wow. Okay, yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. That is crazy work. But I totally agree with you. Hands up for sure. Let's go. This young lady's about to speak. Let's see what she got to say.
I was a fan of Candace Owens for the last 3 years consistently, and I've watched every one of her independent episodes until September 11th happened. She does a memorial video tribute to her friend Charlie Kirk, but she does a subsequent 9 more videos on the investigation into Tyler James Robinson, the person who is responsible for assassinating Charlie Kirk. And I can get into every single little semantic because I have watched every single one of them. And once my eyes opened, my eyes opened. Candace Owens is a right-wing American conservative commentator. She did work with the Daily Wire until she lost her job because there was differences in her opinion on Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, Zionists, and Jewish Americans. She was let go. She was unable to monetize on YouTube for close to a year, but she then goes independent. Up until that point, Candace Owens herself was a mainstream media figurehead. She was everywhere. She was being promoted everywhere. She was doing speaking engagements everywhere. She was all over YouTube.
So real quick, I want to talk about that because when we looked at the Social Blade and we were talking about, we looked at her numbers, her stats, and you can go to socialblade.com and see everybody, all your favorite YouTubers' stats. We were talking about the fact that why she didn't have, her views were really down until like February of last year, or maybe a little bit before February of last year, like November, maybe 23. Anyway, off the top of my head. And it was because she was demonetized. She wasn't monetized on the YouTube platform, and she really wasn't putting in the effort. But once she was monetized, she broke loose with that Macron case. And that's where everything, literally all Hades broke loose. So let's let this young lady go. She's doing a good job. I do disagree with her being a right-wing conservative commentator. I don't believe she's right-wing nor conservative, but I digress. Let's go.
Multiple different channels, including her content with the Daily Wire. She is married to a man from the UK named George Farmer, and he is worth over $250 million. Candace Owens herself is worth over $6 million, and she's projected to make over 7 figures just in her last 9 videos off of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, this only includes the first 5 videos out of 9 that she has done last week and this past week about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, not including her first tribute video, which is 10 total. After her first week and her first 5 videos, she is projected to make over 7 figures off of her website hits, memberships and subscriptions, merchandise sales, live gifts as it's streaming live, and then the ad revenue plus the promotions and sponsorships on each video. The last 10 videos alone are allegedly making her close to $2 million, and they're all about the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
I want to stop for a second because I think this young lady did the right thing because she's not using Social Blade's numbers are very suspect. Social Blade's numbers as it relates to how much money you make are usually off by like 30 to 40%. They don't know some very key metrics that are not forward facing, consumer facing. So they don't know that. So they're really just guessing. So shout out to her for doing, she did the right thing. She said, not only YouTube, but other social platforms, merchandise, memberships, ad reads, and sponsorships. All those things lumped together, definitely unequivocally 7 figures, hands down for sure. But yeah, that was wild. Great job right there.
Now, I wouldn't go this far, putting her text messages with her and Charlie Kirk behind a paywall, or even things like this. But the thing that really opened my eyes is this right here. Of course, she's going through all the legal loopholes of not committing defamation by saying anybody's specific name. She does the whole they, them game, which allows her to throw every single conspiracy theory, lie, and BS made-up story to the wall just to see what sticks. Because she's not actually defaming anybody, but she is making you think that she is saying particular names when she comes across other things and lumps them into one video, like the thing with the Hamptons and Bill Ackman, and talking about FBI Director Kash Patel, talking about Jewish American donors, talking about the nonprofit Turning Point USA, talking about Israel, talking about Israel's prime minister, elected prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, aka Bibi Netanyahu. Law enforcement lie. They're all corrupt. They're all bad. That's what she is constantly going on. But Utah law enforcement conducted their investigation into the assassination.
Yeah, real quick, I apologize. This is the channel Straight Out of Context. I downloaded the video and I forgot to capture the name. Thank you so much, Danny Knights, Blade 45. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Of Charlie Kirk and his private friend, Kash Patel, who is now the FBI director, flew all the way there. And of course, the FBI worked alongside the Utah law enforcement to catch the person that is responsible for taking the life of Charlie Kirk. He not only had a private friendship with Kash Patel, he also had a business relationship with him. And she does say multiple times that the feds are corrupt, that they're lying, that this is a cover-up, that they're not telling the truth, that she demands answers to her questions. She demands full video footage and evidence. And that's just not the reality. People don't understand that in order to bring this person to trial appropriately, they're not going to release all of their forensic and circumstantial evidence. That's going to be held for a jury to specifically see. Otherwise, what that's going to do is possibly taint and bias a jury pool, and it could get his assassin off by either a mistrial, an acquittal, or a hung jury. Why would Candace Owens want that if she was a true friend to Charlie Kirk? Why would she want his assassin to go free? Why would she even want to taint that or entertain that possibility? What she is doing is fear-mongering. It is the action of deliberately arousing public fear or alarm about a particular issue. And once she started making insinuations that Utah has a beehive, a hexagonal beehive on their flag, and that she saw some underground Reddit page that had to do with bees, and it wasn't really bees, but it was bees, meaning alluding to something else like trafficking or child SA or child trafficking, alluding to the fact that this person probably didn't do it and it's all a big cover up. Utah law enforcement are all corrupt and lying, and so is the FBI. She even says it. Fear-mongering is scaremongering, is alarmism. So what is the motivation and the tactic behind Candace Owens doing this? Monetization for herself. Preying on psychological biases. You ever wonder why she's so obsessed with psychiatry, with the CIA experiments into mind control?
That's a good point. That's a good point, because a lot of her books, and I've mentioned this in her book clubs, a lot of her books in a book club are about psychology or some kind of mind science or whatever that nature. Never a book on, like, let's go through the book of Romans or let's go through the book of John. Nothing like that. It's always some kind of mind science. Great catch. Shout out to her.
Ultra, why she's so obsessed with Sigmund Freud and all of these books about psychiatry, because she's using psychiatry to play in your face. And I'm going to show you exactly how she does it, because once I seen it. The dangers and ethical concerns. Using compelling narratives, conspiracy theories, storytelling, captivating stories, mystery, danger, hidden truths, similar to detective novels or scary movies, are very effective in capturing people's attentions. She's seen an over 500% increase in viewership and live watchers from her normal standard audience in all of the Charlie Kirk assassination videos, all 10 of them in the last 2 weeks.
Well, she also was getting, now, to be fair, she was also on an uptick from the Macron case. She's seen more growth post Macron talking about Charlie than she did, but she was already on the uptick. It wasn't like she went from 0 to 2,000 views. She was getting steady views on the Macron case, just to be fair.
She's not going to stop, but it's not because of truth. What she's doing is further fueling mistrust in institutions, driving radicalization and violence, normalizing fringe ideas by creating content around fringe ideas. It gives the audience a false sense of legitimacy and belonging, exploiting vulnerabilities and monopolizing public discourse. That is how you psychologically manipulate people, and that is a cult. Now, how can one further drive this kind of content? Through investigative documentaries, ethical journalism practices, accurate and factual presentation. If you're a fan of hers, I'm going to give you this one opportunity. Email me one piece of real forensic, circumstantial, whether it be email, text message, proof to any of her conspiracy theories being at all founded or plausible. Because I've done my research since September 10th, and guess what? Every single one of them are open-ended with no conclusion. That's how conspiracy theories and lies work. If it's not true and it didn't happen and it didn't take place, It's very hard to prove that it didn't happen and it didn't take place because it just didn't. But this is the difference between a regular theory. A regular theory, you will have plausible evidence to suggest why.
That's why you can't prove a negative. I can't prove that something didn't happen if it didn't happen. And if you say it happened, how do I prove that it didn't happen? That doesn't make sense. So I agree with this young lady. Shout out to her, man. Shout out to, if the moderators could drop the link in her to her channel, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's go.
You have come up with this theory, why you believe that it's plausible or true. Conspiracy theories play on your psychiatry, on your bias. It plays on your fear and your paranoia already. It not only lives, survives, but thrives off of that negativity of mistrust, misuse, and lies, things that aren't true and did not actually happen. Reporting on diverse viewpoints. She doesn't do that. But accurate and factual presentation, she mixes her conspiracy theories with her own personal hatred and bias for Jewish people, for Zionists, for Benjamin Netanyahu, for Israel, for their war actions. And she mixes that with things that are true and factual, like the fact that Charlie Kirk was running Turning Point USA, and he truly does have donors. That's true, yes. So you automatically see these little bits of truth that she is speaking about on other people or other things or other nonprofits, other speeches, other things that they might have said or done. And she uses that to say, see, look, now everything I'm saying subsequent or before this, all is lumped in with this truth.
Real quick. I'm going to switch very quickly because I want to show you something just so we can make sure we're on the same page. I'm going to move myself out of the way. All right, this is Candace Owens' Social Blade numbers, and these are her views. If you go back to October 2022, you can see pretty clearly her views are not very good. They were very bad. Dare I say, they were struggling. Now she's getting millions, let's be honest, but nothing like what she's going to see in a second. Something happened right here on February 2024. And most of us, I believe, argue that this is when she gets dropped from the Daily Wire because of something she was doing. I wasn't following what she was doing, but she was saying some naughty things, clearly. And lo and behold, she ended up deleting in March almost 40 million views. All right. She deleted almost 40 million views. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit. And I'm going to sneeze 1 second. Okay. So she deleted almost 40 million views and then she came back in April 2024 and she got 1 million views. And then in May, she got 1.3 million views. And I think we all know what happened after that. We all know what happened after this. This is when she started talking about the Macrons. Okay. This is where the Macrons are. This is the infamous where she started with the evidence of the Macrons in November of 2024. This is when they got the redaction letter, all that kind of stuff like that. All that happened. And then, of course, going into 2025, that's when she kicked off the Becoming Brigitte series. And look at where she's been. Nowhere short. I mean, nothing less than 40 million views every month. 40 million views at least. What about this one here? Yep, 46. And now that Charlie Kirk happened, she's almost at 100 million views, 93 million views. It's crazy. So that's what this young lady's talking about. So when you call out the candies and say, hey, she's monetizing this situation, you have the evidence right here. Like, make this make sense. Like, she was a struggle streamer, really, before she left the Daily Wire, got fired, was demonetized. They let her come back and off to the races. I think it's a double-edged sword playing with YouTube like that personally, because YouTube will rip your card in a hot second. And I don't think her people are that used to coming to her platform to see her content, but maybe they will. I don't know. But definitely you don't want to get pulled by YouTube.
Once you see it, once you watch all of her content from beginning to end, once you see it, you will see it. It's no wonder why people think she is a psyop, because she's either a narcissist and a complete sociopath, or she really is a psyop, meaning that she allegedly is being paid by some foreign entity or domestic entity to purposely put out this kind of content to further cause more fear, division in the conservative movement. Also, notice how she went from pushing everybody to vote for Trump and then to vote for Trump again. And now she does not support Trump or his administration at all, because she now believes that he is being funded and backed by Zionists, which AKA to her, in her mind, means that America and the president is being controlled by Zionists. Therefore, America is currently being controlled by Zionists. And of course, we know she doesn't focus on solutions, because every single one of her content, since she has all of her conspiracy theories and investigations, since she's gone independent, even though she's still a mainstream media figurehead and she's in the 1% elite herself, she doesn't focus on this, because this part here will not further drive the conspiracy theory further down the line for more videos on it. So she leaves them all unfinished, no conclusion, open-ended. And that's a problem, because Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, we know that there was many different investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, but Jeffrey Epstein, it's done and over with, because he's no longer alive. Therefore, there is no conclusion. Her entire investigative series into Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein may have had his New York case overturned, but he hasn't had the other ones overturned, and he's still sitting behind bars today. So her investigations are not really investigations. What she's doing is already taking with the dirty, lying. Remember, they're dirty. Remember, they're corrupt. They're all bad. The feds, law enforcement, she takes what they've already done. Their hard work, their due diligence, their cases, their case files, their evidence, even the person that's responsible takes that and does her own investigation with it's a circle. It's circular. The whole while she's making you think that she's deep diving into this investigation because she's going to prove that there is law enforcement and federal agent corruption, but she never does that. In fact, she tried so hard to push Harvey Weinstein into, well, you must have stepped on somebody else's toes, somebody bigger than you. Why can't you say who it is? And he says, I have no idea. If I did that, it's possible. Or is it more likely that he truly did abuse his power, which he has said many times that he has, and that he did cheat on his wife multiple times, and that he did inappropriately do things to many people, and that it's not a coincidence all these people have come forward with their experiences, with their stories, and was some of them looking for a big payout? Yeah, probably. When somebody that's worth over $300-400 million gets into any kind of trouble like that, we see everybody come out of the woodwork, whether they're telling the truth or lying. Irrelevant. But the conclusion is still the same. Harvey Weinstein is still behind bars. But the whole while, she's using what the dirty, corrupt, lying law enforcement and federal agents, what they have done, and trying to make you think that they are corrupt. So how can you use psychiatry to manipulate an audience through content, specifically on your website or YouTube? Create a sense of connection through authenticity, sharing your story, showing your personality, engaging with the community, foster a sense of belonging. It's us or them, good versus evil, good versus bad.
And we talked about that when Candy, whenever she wants to draw people in, she shifts from I, my, and me to us and our and the such of that nature. So I do think that's pretty interesting. Shout out for sure. I wish she would not do the green screen thing. I wish she would just do a large screen.
It's us, the righteous, versus those demons. That is psychological manipulation, my friend. Because you don't have to feel like you belong in this community or be psychologically manipulated by anybody, even Candace Owens, to like her or like her content. She shouldn't have to do that to get an audience to know and trust in her and the truth, which tells you it's anything but. Know your audience, solve a problem. Now, she's really good at making you think she's solving problems, but like I said, show me one investigation that has been concluded or has been solved. None, not since she's gone independent and hasn't been under mainstream media. Use storytelling. You have to use compelling narratives, and conspiracy theories are the most compelling narratives. There's no evidence and there's no proof for them. It's just hearsay. Creating intriguing titles and thumbnails evoke emotion ethically. Now that's very questionable because the way she's evoking emotions is very negatively through fear mongering and scaremongering. Employing social proof. Honestly. She does this really great. Positive testimonials. Other big content creators are agreeing with me. Creator collaborations. Audience shares, and it's always, let's get to the comment section, and the comment section is always blessing her, praising her, kissing her ass, or giving her a $500 live gift.
So, I'm going to stop for a second. Shout out to this young lady right here, straight out of context. I have a theory about this. And if you watch Candace, I have a question for you. Is the show that comes on, let's say at 5:15, is that a live show? Is that a live show? Or is that a pre-recorded show? Is it? I'm just wondering, because I don't believe I have a theory about why I think that those are not real shows. They're not real. They are pre-recorded and they're put together in that manner. It's under lies, but you do realize that I can put a pre-recorded video out as a live stream. I can do that right now. Yeah. Has anybody else picked up on that? And I'm going to tell you why I think that's real. I don't think it's real. I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's real. I think those shows are pre-recorded. And I see, you know what, here real quick, just to get some engagement, put live if you think they're live, put pre-record or pre if you think they're pre-recorded. Let's see what we got. I don't think they're live. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. I don't think they're live. Okay. Not live. I don't believe it's live. Lots of pre's coming in. Okay. There's a lot of heavy editing for sure. Yep. Oh, somebody says it's live. Okay, no problem. I'm going to explain why I don't think they're live in a second. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Look, I'm going to be transparent with y'all. I'm going to tell y'all something. Let me see. Can I do this? I can do it to a degree. I can't pull it up and show you, but I'll tell you this. Okay. Why do I think Candace Owens, those shows are pre-recorded? Because in the YouTube studio, YouTube really wants live streams. They really want the live stream experience. They want us doing exactly what we're doing right here. Aha, you caught it. You caught it right there. She doesn't show her super chats. But let me go. Let me cook for a second. YouTube really wants this live experience. What I'm doing right here, YouTube really loves this. They love this. They love that 356 people are in the live chat, that we're talking, we're doing all this kind of stuff. YouTube loves that. And they want that. And what they'll do is they will pay content creators, myself and Candaspiracy, to have you all come on and do a live stream. They will pay us, and they'll pay us quite a bit for that. So what they pay us is by the 1,000 people that watch. And just going by on a limb, I can still pull up a super chat after the fact, though. That's the thing. I can still pull up a super chat on the screen. I can do it in Ecamm. I can pull it up and it'll look just like it's happening in real time. Now, if you can correlate the times, then I'll eat my hat, but proverbially. But let me finish up. Let me explain. They don't, and has she ever shown them? Does she show the super chats? Like I'm showing this comment right here. Like I'm showing this fantastic super chat from MT. Like I'm showing it in real time. If she's not showing it, I'm going to continue. Let me finish up. So on the YouTube platform, YouTube really likes live chats. Live streams. They really do. They want that engagement. They want to build that community, that authenticity, that personality, all that kind of stuff like that. They want that experience. And so they compensate content creators more because of the fact that we are engaging and bringing people on and having panel discussions and all that kind of stuff like that. So at the current moment, right now, my channel, I'm just going to tell y'all, I get compensated $15 for every 1,000 people that watch a live stream. $15 for every person that watches a live stream. So that could be pretty lucrative sometimes, right? You have several hundred people watching for a long time. You could have, 2, 3, 4,000 views. So, multiply that by 15 and you got my point. So, but watch this. When I put up a regular video, a pre-recorded video, I make $5.10. $5.10 versus $15. So basically a third, right? However, I can upload a pre-recorded video in the YouTube studio and say that it's a live stream and have it go out as a live stream. All I got to do is go through StreamYard, put the video in as a live stream, and it'll look just like a live stream. It'll look to the YouTube platform. It will look everything like it was a live stream. Nothing different, except the fact that I'm not pulling up live super chats. Except the fact that I'm not engaging with people in real time. That's the only thing, and YouTube really doesn't care about that. They're not going to lose sleep over that part if I'm not calling out super chats and all that kind of stuff like that. If you all are in the live chatting, they'll think it's fine. I don't think Candace, those videos are real. I think those videos are pre-recorded. And I think even so, the times when she starts late and says, hey, we were homeschooling, whatever like that. No, you recorded that earlier today. You recorded that earlier and you're just uploading it later and you're actually making an excuse saying that you were homeschooling or you were busy or you started late because it gives you that air of being like live, authentic. If you started every day at 5 o'clock, you start to get into that idea that, okay, this could be robotic. This could be pre-recorded. But she does hey, I was running late. We were homeschooling, having a great time. This is the third week of homeschooling, blah, blah, blah. I don't think those are real. I just don't think they're real. And I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong, but I was looking at it and I said, I really think, and I'm looking at my analytics and I'm like, man, if I'm making this, Candace is making multiple times over that. And her live stream versus her recorded videos, I would do mine like that. I know y'all wouldn't like it, so that's why I don't do it. But if I just dropped a pre-recorded video as a live stream, not as a premiere, but you can drop it as a live stream. So it'll literally, in the YouTube algorithm, it will tick the box that this is a live stream. And if it's an hour long and there's engagement in the live chat, her live chat is going bananas. So there's nothing to cue you off that that's fake. All those live chats and super chats going in and all that kind of stuff. It looks like a real video. I'm sorry, it looks like a live stream, but it's actually a video, in my opinion. It's just something I've been thinking about and I want to talk about it. But real quick, I do also want to hear this. Shout out to CS Moy, again, with the $5 super. I hear what you're saying, but I can tell you Israel's a huge number of evangelical circles, but probably not in the reform circles. And that's it. I'm not arguing and trying to debase Israel or anything of that nature. I'm just saying there's a lot of concerns that are right here in the states that people should be zeroing in on. But I appreciate it. Thank you for the $5 super. And again, Black Sigma, shout out to you. He says this, hey, Jay, the key is truth in the video cameras of Tyler from the time he came, how he carried the rifle, and through the stairs in full context. Okay, I agree with you. I don't know where all that is. And I'm okay with not having all that information because that information would greatly change how the defense and prosecution move to have all the video evidence out right now. Right. And then also, of course, the jury. Hey, what does Erica say with the $10 super? I do like the interactive chats. Well, thank you so much. We're doing our best to keep it interactive over here. Keep it fun. Keep it moving in the right direction. I appreciate the $10 super. And let's finish up with straight out of context. Shout out to her. I like her. Let's go.
Incorporate interactive elements. Oh, but she wouldn't use the dirty, lying, corrupt federal agents and all of their evidence, right? No, not her. Build credibility and consistency. Post regularly. Be transparent. But that's where she has a problem because she can't do this. She can't always show you. She shows you things, but she doesn't show you the proof. She makes you think she's showing you proof. But to blame the Utah law enforcement officials for being corrupt and this being a cover-up is blaming Charlie Kirk's own friend, now FBI Director Kash Patel. And I just don't buy it. I don't believe it. Most law enforcement officers are good, decent human beings. And the same can be said for any career. Do you know how much corruption is in content on YouTube? How many YouTube creators are corrupt, lying, and covering up? There are bad chefs. There are bad drivers. There are bad people that work at grocery stores that are lying or corrupt or covering up or are just bad people. Same can be said for doctors, pilots, any career. And this is coming from the same person who was allegedly helping push a GoFundMe for the law enforcement officer, the bad law enforcement officer who took the life of George Floyd. But now when it comes to an investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk, now she's going to go against the grain and not with it. But going against the grain is also going against his own personal friendship and business friendship with Kash Patel. I think they should be applauded and they should be awarded every respect for having not slept for almost 34 hours straight, having all of the FBI officers and the Utah law enforcement officers coming together to catch the person responsible and to bring them to justice, which they did. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Who do you call if there's an emergency? You call 911. You get central dispatch. What happens? Whether it be law enforcement or EMT, they respond. I would trust a law enforcement officer that I have never met before I would Candace Owens. I just genuinely have a lot more respect for law enforcement than that. Than to say they're all bad, they're all lying, they're all corrupt. Sure, there have been FBI agents, CIA agents in the past that have been bad or corrupt. That can be said for any religion, any faith, going back thousands of years. There have been people in that particular faith or church that has been bad or corrupt? Is that the majority? Absolutely not. Does it reflect poorly on every Jewish person, every Muslim, every Christian or Catholic? Absolutely not. Not everything
Man.
is a conspiracy theory. Occam's razor. Cut out all of the things that are just illogical, don't make sense, probably didn't happen. And your easiest, most logical, most simple answer is by probability the right one. Friend or not, Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens had an equal audience. They have equal amounts of viewers and subscribers on YouTube. And the fact is, when she looks at what happened to Charlie Kirk, it's very hard for her to probably digest and accept that that could have been her. It very easily could have been her. It could be her in the future. That must be a very harrowing reality, especially when you really do put out hate and content that drives further division and discourse and distrust.
I can see that, but I also realize that Charlie Kirk was doing, whether you like him or not, you have to admit that Charlie Kirk was in a lane that made much of Christ and pointed people, as somebody pointed out earlier, to strong families, strong churches, strong communities, strong nation. I don't believe Candace Owens can do that. And you know what? I'm open to being wrong. Show me her doing that. Show me. I mean, she's tearing down the French. She's tearing down TPUSA. Like where is she building strong churches, strong families, strong communities? Like, where is that? Like, I want to see it. Please show me send me the link. I will eat my hat proverbially. But where is it? I think she knows she's not able to replicate what TPUSA is doing and has done. And I think that ultimately gets her gold, gets way more than anything else. She knows she couldn't do this. Because if she could, she would have been doing it. She would be doing it right now. I'm just saying. You mean tell me if she could replicate what TPUSA is doing and have done it better, would she not be out there right now doing it? I think so. Let's go.
Charlie Kirk ran around on college campuses and took people that go to that local college that he is at under a tent saying, prove me wrong, under that guise. And he largely embarrassed, I'm just saying, whether I like him or not, it doesn't matter. This is what he did. He embarrassed a lot of people with, I'm smarter than you, I'm more knowledgeable than you, my opinions, thoughts are right, and I'm going to debunk every single one of your points. He went around on college campuses and embarrassed young people. He then records it in several different angles and puts it on the internet forever for everybody to see, to comment on, to laugh at. If you don't think Occam's razor is that Charlie Kirk had more domestic enemies than he does foreign ones, then Candace Owens is not being truthful at all with her audience.
I don't think that, I don't like the way she framed it. Like he goes to college campuses and says, I'm smarter than you. I think he was having the honest dialogues that we don't have anymore, that we're not willing to have, and say, hey, I want to have a conversation with somebody that disagrees with me. And I'm going to give them the opportunity, gives them the microphone. He literally said, if you disagree, you get to the front of the line. He didn't want sycophants. He didn't want people to stroke his ego. He wanted to engage with people who ultimately disagreed with him. I don't want to say that he was out there trying to make fun of people and show that he's smarter than them. I don't think that was it. I think that might have been a little bit much, in my opinion. But let's go.
Because the truth is, look at how many people celebrated and were overjoyed when he passed away. That right there tells you how many domestic enemies he truly had. And what Candace Owens might not understand is that she too has people that domestically do not like her. But that's what happens when you go down a very dark, very demonic path of unfounded conspiracy theories and planting seeds of mistrust in all of your audience members. And you create a cult and a cult-like mentality. You start seeing things like Reddit forums about beekeeping as some secret ancient code for child abuses and trafficking.
That's so funny.
you say things like, I'm going to homeschool my children, pull all of your children out of school, don't get any of your kids vaccinated. Well, guess what? A lot of us are not worth $300 million with our spouse. You can sit there and say that you're going to homeschool all day long, but then you also say you have the money to hire teachers. That's not feasible or the reality for most Americans. And that is so out of touch with what most Americans go through and live with every single day. Also, the investigation into Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron. This is actually not Candace Owens' investigation. This belongs to a French man named Xavier Poussard. What she did was took his book, his hard work, his investigation. He translated it into English, and she slapped her name on it and says Candace Owens presents an investigation by Xavier Poussard, because she uses her mainstream media figurehead, her mainstream media audience, to then spread his investigation, his book, everything that he was alleging as far as Brigitte Macron really being Jean-Michel Trogneux, using the identity of her younger sister. I have the book. I've read it 3 times.
Yikes.
I've been learning French for close to 3 years now as well.
Shout out.
I have looked into the lawsuit against Xavier Poussard and her lawsuit here, where she also lies and says that not only does she stake her entire life, professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron really is Jean-Michel Trogneux. She also says that to Tucker Carlson that she does not want the investigation to be dismissed at all. At all. She wants it to go to trial because she wants to be able to prove 100% that she was correct. Not that she was correct, that Xavier Poussard is correct in his investigation that she used for content on her channel and brought to a bigger audience. She took somebody from a foreign country who doesn't speak English very well, took his investigation and helped spread it worldwide via YouTube channel. She says she doesn't want this $400+ million defamation lawsuit against her to be dropped because she wants to prove that she's correct, that Xavier Poussard is correct. But then what does she secretly and quietly do? She has her lawyers file a motion to dismiss. Not only are they claiming inappropriate venue in Delaware where all of her LLCs and her husband's LLCs and companies are registered at, but she's also trying to say that a foreign entity doesn't have the right to stifle an American's right to free speech. But free speech doesn't cover lies that amount to defamation, slander, libel, harassment, stalking, cyber stalking, harassment. None of that. It does cover the truth. So the one thing that got me the most is how much she is trying to say the federal agents they're covering up. They're covering up for the person who really took the life of Charlie Kirk, and that they're all bad, they're all corrupt. That Charlie was invited to Israel again by Bibi Netanyahu, that allegedly $150 million was offered to him to not change his views on Israel, which he didn't. He made that very well known that he did not ever change his views on Israel. The government of Israel and some of their choices in recent times may have been different. He may have had some disagreements. He also was allegedly praying the rosary and attending mass. His wife and his pastor have come out and said that that is absolutely not true. He went to Catholic churches all the time because he loved the architecture of the church. But he was very devout in his own faith, unlike some other people. Also, the fact that Candace Owens would have the audacity to tell that pastor to release everything he knows or sit down and basically shut up is disgusting. Because he would have never said anything like that to her Catholic priest had this tragedy been hers.
Okay, so shout out to Out of Context podcast. I appreciate that. That was good. I like it. I appreciate her giving a high overview. Yo, bring this back, man. Bring me back. All right, a high overview. So real quick, I want to. I have the last video is Allie Beth Stuckey. But I have a little project real quick. I'm going to pull up Candace's lawsuit against USA Leeds. Oh, let me see exactly the Leeds Story and Candace Owens. She sued them back many moons ago. Back in 2020, she sued them because they claimed that what she said about the jab was not correct. Okay. And all I want to do is bring in something very quickly to show you all. And I'm just going to leave it on the screen. And as soon as you see it, just go ahead and comment about what you see. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen. See if I can do this with me over here. Okay, there we go. All right. I just want you to look at this. And when you see it, put it in the chat. There's something peculiar about this lawsuit. And it's on this page. It's in the tan box. I separated it. When you see it, put it in the chat. Oh, I already saw it. It's already there. It's already popped up. I already see it. One person has already done it. Up 2, 3, 5, 9. All right, I'm gonna go with the first person right here. Delaware. Isn't that interesting? Because Candace doesn't want the Macrones to sue her in Delaware because she doesn't live there. And she made the case that she's never lived there. She's never had an apartment there. She doesn't do business in Delaware. But if you notice here, she sued, I think it was USA Today and Leeds Corporation, whatever. She sued them in Delaware. Candace Owens, in her individual capacity, and Candace Owens LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. Plaintiffs, Leeds Stories LLC, a Colorado limited liability company, and Gannett's Satellite Information Network LLC, doing business as USA Today, a Delaware limited liability company. Remember, she made all that hay in the Macron case about why she should not have to, this should not be tried in Delaware because she's never done business in Delaware. She doesn't live in Delaware. I mean, she does business in Delaware. She doesn't live in Delaware, doesn't own property in Delaware. It's just where her LLC is. But when it comes time to her to sue people, she seems to be able to find her way to Delaware. How crazy is that? She can find her way to Delaware when she wants to sue folk. She just can't find her way to Delaware any other time. Crazy, nasty work. I just thought that was wild. I wanted y'all to see that and get your 2 cents about it as well. All right, last thing. I do want to say thank you so much to MT. What did MT say? He said, and bring myself here, the left plus China plus Qatar invested in the youth via education. Top 2 funders, Qatar and then China. Staff with leftists. Charlie went to their doorsteps and dismantled. Shout out. Absolutely. Great catch. MT be dropping them supers. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. I just wanted real quick. This is a little quick 6-minute video. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to let Allie Beth Stuckey kind of parse through what is a conspiracy and what should you look for when you're being given a conspiracy. What should be the questions that you ask in order to accept the conspiracy as valid or see that as invalid. I thought this was an excellent take. I hope that you'll like this and get something good from it. So let me bring this in.
How conspiracy theories work, okay? Because conspiracy theories are different than critical thinking and question asking. And innuendo is different than investigation. And implication is different than investigation. And I'm not even pointing fingers right now. I've seen a lot of different Instagram posts, a lot of different X posts from a lot of different people, some that are asking good questions and some that are just spinning up suspicion. And again, those two.
I know I said I wasn't going to stop. I've seen this comment. I want to make sure I explain. Rico, the reason I say DIE instead of DEI is because once you institute DEI into your company, it DIEs. So that's why I say it. I know it's DEI. I'm just saying that it causes things to DIE. That's all I'm doing. So, hey, I'd like to poke fun at those things. I do it on purpose. It's not a mistake. It's intentional. All right, bring back Allie Beth. Jason, let's go.
Two things aren't the same. So this is what you need to look for when it comes to any claim. If it's a claim that I make, if it's a claim that someone else makes, especially when someone is creating a series out of multiple claims, okay? So this is how conspiracy theories work. One, you exploit distrust or gaps of information. So in this case, we don't trust the government. That's true. We have good reason not to trust the government. There have been things that the government has said that are kind of sketchy, like text exchange, that the government claimed was between the shooter and the partner. A lot of people said that it seemed fake, although I think that there are some questions about that. To exploit pre-existing suspicions or resentment. So in this case, the people claiming that Israel was involved in this, like, already didn't like Israel. So that to me is a little suspicious. Like, it would be a lot more credible to me if the people pursuing this theory didn't already blame Israel for other things. Like, if they were blaming Germany for this, I'd be like, oh, that's interesting, because I don't see any like vested interest in accusing this particular country. Or if people who like never criticized Israel in the past were like, yeah, I really think Israel is a part of this, then that might be a little bit more intriguing. But it just seems a little bit too on the nose and coincidental that Israel would be involved in a crime, and it's being found out by people who are already super critical of Israel. Another characteristic is giving partial truths. So like there are some truths that are in this claim, as we already validated. Netanyahu didn't say everything was in that letter. Charlie did exchange words with Bill Ackman. Charlie was concerned with Israel's direction. So all of these things are true. But then there's also this aspect, giving full truths, but making it seem like they're tied together with a secret sauce of special knowledge, without ever actually providing the receipts and the evidence to prove those connections. So this happened, this exists, and these two things are connected because we should be asking how, why. So we should be asking, what do those two things have in common? How are those two things connected? What do those two things have to do with each other, and what do they have to do with Charlie's murder? I need to be told specifically. I need to be told directly. I need to be told explicitly, because if we're making claims about who is involved in Charlie's murder, like I need the tangible evidence of those connections. It's not enough to just tell me that some things happened and some things exist. Also, as I said, innuendo is not investigation. So if someone knows something, if they have insider information, then they need to release it to the public. Like, I don't want a drip campaign. I don't want multiple, like a thread on this. Like, I want to know. Like, if we all are seeking the truth and I want to know the truth too, then I want to know up front. I don't want like these, oh, well, this person said this, but I know for a fact that that's not true. Tell me how you know for a fact. I want to know how do you know for a fact, and like, what is the truth? Gosh, I really want to know what is the truth. So here are my specific questions when it comes to this Israel claim. Why would Israel, whose existence is largely dependent upon the support of the U.S., take out one of the most vocal supporters of Israel and Judaism? Why would they target a confidant of one of the most pro-Israel presidents of all time? Would Israel really risk the further alienation of the American right, literally some of its only lasting supporters in the world, by taking out one of our biggest heroes? And would they do it in a way that internet sleuths can figure out? Because it's either Israel is very stupid or they're extremely cunning and conniving, but I don't understand how they can be both. And I've gone back and forth with some people in my DMs about this. One person said, oh, well, look at this. Look at how much Israel lobbies in our government. Like, look at how much they're trying to influence the media. Look at how many times they're, meeting with commentators, how they were talking to Charlie Kirk and trying to influence what he thinks. Okay, but even if that's true, and even if you have a problem with that, what does that have to do with this? Because do you know how many countries and how many corporations do that? Like, do you know how many of these entities are trying to influence American media? China, Russia are two of the main ones. Iran, another one. And, Charlie was a big critic of Islam, much bigger critic of Islam than he was of Israel. Charlie was a big critic of China. Charlie was a confidant of the president who has been very harsh on Russia. Tell me why there aren't a bunch of theories about those countries' involvement in Charlie's murder.
That part
again,
right there.
Ask why it goes back to Israel.
That's the question. That's the point. Like, why is not other comment? Why are other countries not catching strays? Why is Israel the only one catching it? They catching heck. But why is nobody else catching any kind of stray? Like nobody else, China, nobody else, Russia, nobody? Okay. That part right there. Shout out to Allie Beth.
Charlie was critical of a lot of things and a lot of people and a lot of countries and a lot of different ideologies. Like, why is it his criticism of one part of what a particular government is doing in the Middle East? Why does that have to be the thing that probably led to his murder? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not adding up to me.
Shout out to Allie Beth. I thought that was an excellent, excellent way to end the show. It's just, you know what? And most of us are having these same conversations with other people about this doesn't make sense. Like, why do you want it to be Israel? Why do you want it to be the Jews? Why is it not the Russians or the Chinese? Why is it not a Muslim activist? Like, why are they not equally brought into the discussion? But it's only Israel. The only people that are bringing this up is only group that's being implicated is somehow another Israel. All roads lead back to Israel. Why is that? And I like that. I appreciate Allie Beth for that. I thank you. The moderators, I think, dropped her link in the chat for sure. So thank you so much for that. My email is dearwokec@gmail.com. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see where I typed it. Because that's what happens when you get old and you decide to do content all the time. There it is. Bang. All right. There's my email. I will do it on tomorrow because I do have I got a fun show for y'all tomorrow. I think y'all will enjoy it. We're going to look at some of the stuff that you all have been watching when you're not watching me. So we're going to talk about that. I think it'll be fun. I think you'll have a good time. We're going to look at some new content creators as well. And I will look at some of these videos that you all are recommending. I will be looking at some of these videos that you all are recommending. So definitely shoot me an email, all that kind of good jazz. I appreciate y'all. I do want to say, I think I missed one. I'm a woman, MT says. Can you see Yuri? I'm just going to say Yuri B. Young American Foundation, KGB defector warning to America's re-propaganda. Okay, I will check it out. Shoot it to me in an email, and I will add that to tomorrow's show just so I can. And I also have one more question, one more ask for tomorrow's show. And if tomorrow's show goes long, then we'll add it to Monday's show, whatever. You all recommended Ami's House, the official podcast of Ami Kozak. He did a skit where he was imitating Candace Owens. I don't know which one it was. Can y'all help me out? You can just send me the link, email me the link, dearwokec@gmail.com or whatnot, and that will help out a lot. And I'll add that. I'll try to do that one tomorrow because it sounded like it was a hoot, but I just couldn't find it. I don't know what it was. Wait, you got questions? We got answers. There we go. Shout out for sure. Yeah, we're gonna not have Candace fatigue. So my goal is not to wear y'all out with Candace. So that's why I want to introduce some other topics and definitely some other voices. I've heard y'all. I hear what y'all saying. I hear y'all saying you're getting tired of her voice. I understand. I want to make sure I give you exactly what you're looking for. So, but if there's some fun opportunities, we are going to take advantage of those. But the Ami's House looks like it's a hoot. I just didn't know which one it was that people were recommending. So we'll look at the KGB defector as well as Ami's House tomorrow. I do have some fun videos for y'all to check out. And I think for last week for Thankful Thursday, we did Candaspiracy Bingo. I think we're going to play Candaspiracy Jeopardy, which is going to be crazy. That game is insane. It's going to be a hoot. We're going to play that on that Thursday before Halloween. So on the 30th, I believe. So I will keep you posted if it changes. My guess, if anything changes with them, I'll keep you posted, but we'll probably do that the day before Halloween, on the 31st. So I appreciate you. Everybody, thank you so much for tapping in with me. Thank you to all of the moderators. Thank you to all of the great questions and the fantastic supers. Thank you so much for that. It's a blessing to be able to do this. I'm glad that you all find value in what we're doing over here. Me talking loud in my office, offside my kitchen. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And I just need to make sure. I just saw, I don't know what happened to your Susie Q, can you shoot me an email real quick? You still have my email. I just want to make sure something didn't happen. So if you shoot me an email real quick, that'd be great. I appreciate it. And everybody, I want to say thank y'all so much. I'm going to, yes, I'm still going to tell you my mortuary story. Somebody asked, am I still going to tell you? I'm going to tell you about that time in a previous life when I worked at a funeral home. I will tell you that story. I'm going to tell you that on Halloween. I mean, now granted, there's a young lady in the chat who is she either is a mortician or her family owns a funeral home. She said she wanted to come and tell y'all some of the stories too. And it's just wild. So I will tell y'all that story on Halloween. Yes. So thank y'all so much for liking the video. I appreciate y'all being a part of the best live chat on the internet. Y'all the ones, y'all make this thing fun. Let me tell you, because otherwise this video would have been, this live stream would have been 8 minutes long because I'm not that exciting. It's y'all. Y'all make it all happen. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to rock with you all real soon. Lord willing, we'll do this again tomorrow. I think we're doing it at 8 o'clock because I have an activity with the wife and family. But we'll be back real soon. So until then, everybody, have a great night. Have a blessed Lord's Day on tomorrow. And until then, good people, grace and peace. See you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Whitt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.